What's going on, my fellow A-plussers? Welcome back once again to a brand new episode of A-Plus Hero Report, your weekly stop for your Marvel, DC movies, and television news right here on our YouTube page and our Facebook page as well, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for certainly joining I. It is I, your host, Adam Perez, back once again as we're going to go ahead and break down a ton of topics today that wind up releasing throughout the week. So we get not only the opportunity to talk about it and give our opinions, but also to hear your thoughts and opinions on these articles as well, ladies and gentlemen. So certainly feel free to join us for the discussion this week as much as you certainly would love to. Feel free to go ahead and throw your stuff in the live chat or the comments after this particular live stream, ladies and gentlemen. But it's so good to see everybody today, man. I hope everybody's weekend has certainly been going well. It's not just myself today. I do have at least one half of my crew here today. Stuart Branscombe, what's going on, buddy? Good to see you, man.
Hey, good to be here. Good to be here. How are you doing?
You look pretty bundled up today, man. What's going on over there?
Oh, it's freaking cold. Originally, I was actually going to wear my Shaggy costume just for fun.
From Halloween,
yeah. It's only a day after Halloween. Why not? But no, it was way too cold for me to just wear like a green T-shirt, like to the point where I have to wear like a sweatshirt and a jacket on top of that.
Yeah, man. For somebody in California, you're bundled up pretty well, man.
Oh, yeah. And the best part is I know for a fact, like halfway through this podcast, it's probably going to get like so hot that I have to like take it all off afterwards.
That's usually how it happens, man. I loved your photos the other day of you at Halloween, you and your girlfriend. She dressed up as Thelma, right?
Yep.
Velma?
That is correct.
Jankies.
Yeah, it was really funny because for the longest time I've been told that I look like Shaggy. So when she brought up it'd be fun to dress up as Scooby-Doo, for Halloween, she was thinking originally like I do Fred, she does Daphne, and I'm just kind of like, I don't know, I just didn't see myself as Fred. I'm like, I don't think I could pull that look off, but I think like doing Shaggy would be like not only easier, but I feel like I could just fit into that role a lot better. And,
it was perfect, man. I saw you got the stubble and everything going. It was great.
Yeah, that was why I like shaved everything except for the chin. I'm like, yeah, if I'm doing Shaggy, I'm going all out with it.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, me and the girlfriend went out a little bit yesterday. One of her friends invited her to some Halloween event where we were handing out candy to kids. And what they were doing because of COVID and everything, they had like a huge line. We set up tables and everything outside in a huge line. We had people with cars, just literally huge lines of cars just driving up, get an opportunity to talk to everybody, see kids in their costumes, handing out candy and stuff. It was really cool. She dressed up as a werewolf with like a big gnarly scratch on her neck. And then she put together a homemade Jedi costume for me, which was epic on all scales, man. I absolutely loved it. So we got a ton of great compliments yesterday, and it was fun. I've never really done anything like that, but to be able to like hand out candy to everybody was pretty awesome on Halloween. I can't lie, man. So did you guys do trick-or-treating yourself? Did you get any candy or what? What's going on?
Yeah, so what happened is I had to work most of the day. It was the first time I was allowed to wear a costume to work, so that was pretty cool.
Oh, that's cool.
But yeah, that's what she was kind of doing, is she had like kind of a table set up, and so she would hand like already made like bags of candy, like with the sorted candy inside of it, to the kids, making sure that they were all socially distanced and everything like that. So she was being pretty safe about how she went about it. And then, after I got off work, that's when I met up with everyone. We all kind of hung out at her place. We used a projector to watch like a couple of old Scooby-Doo episodes like in her backyard, and then we switched to House of a Thousand Corpses at the very end.
Man, that sounds like a pretty eventful Halloween, man. I love the lineup.
Oh, yeah.
Love the lineup. Guys, I'm kind of curious to know if any of you guys dressed up for Halloween. Are you guys still rocking your costumes this morning? I'm kind of curious to know what if you guys did dress up as. Certainly go ahead and let us know in the live chat or the comment section box below. Who's actually joining us today? We've got Bacon and Sushi certainly in the house. We got Shadow Nova Production certainly coming through, along with Power Rangers in your area making their presence known. And of course, guys, I'm sure we'll have some stragglers that come throughout the rest of the show, so certainly make them feel welcome if they certainly join us. Real quick, guys, also, if you have a live viewer question that you certainly would like to have answered live on this show towards the end of this episode, feel free to go ahead and submit your questions over to aplusopinions@gmail.com. If for some reason we're not able to get to your comments, but you definitely want to make sure that we get your question answered, go ahead and email us at aplusopinions@gmail.com, and we'll go ahead and tackle your live viewer questions at the end of the show. And feel free to honestly send your questions throughout the entire week. If there's something that you read online or an article or a quote from somebody that you want to further discuss every week on an A Plus Hero Report, submit your questions at any particular time throughout the week. Again, aplusopinions@gmail.com. All right, Stuart. Before we get into our topics, man, you know what we like to do around here. Outside of our intro, we like to drop some honorable mentions, people and storylines that did not quite make the cut, but deserves your attention, that we want to go ahead and highlight real quick. So let me go ahead and pull up a couple things here I thought would be pretty cool to highlight. Titan season 3 is I'm assuming it's in the process of filming or will be filming hopefully here shortly. But one of the characters that they have been teasing for us for quite some time is the character in Red Hood. Now, for those of you who don't recall, Jason Todd, the second Jason, or the second Robin, I should say, was killed at the hands of the Joker back in the day, and eventually came back as the character in Red Hood. So it seems as though they're going to be visiting that character a lot sooner than we expected, and we finally have our very first official shot of Carrion Walters. I can never remember what his name is, unfortunately. The gentleman that plays Jason Todd. This is him in his Red Hood costume. Stuart, I know you're not the biggest fan of the Titan series, but getting the opportunity to see Jason Todd as Red Hood, what do you think about the costume itself?
Oh, that is something I will always give credit to Titans for, is they do have some really unique costume designs, and this is one of them. Looks like it actually took me to even a minute to even realize that it was actually a costume and not just kind of a Photoshop picture.
It does kind of look like concept arty, right? But
yeah, exactly.
But when I look at it further, like there are elements of concept art or an actual official look. I think he's in the costume, but maybe I'm wrong. But yeah, I get what you're saying, though.
I think it is actually a costume, but and me saying it looks like concept art isn't really a bad thing. If anything, it just means like it really looks like so much more comic book accurate because of it.
I agree.
Yeah, so I freaking love this design. I think it looks awesome.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm not the biggest fan of their decision to go ahead and bring Red Hood in. Trust me, I know that's probably an unpopular decision because everywhere I look on social media, it's like, we want Red Hood. We want Red Hood. So I feel like I'm the odd man out that really doesn't want to see this character right now. But if you're going to give me this character, I really enjoyed how comic book accurate, if anything, this costume has been. And you're right, Titans does do a great job in regards to that of really nailing the costumes, I feel like. But yeah, guys, now that you got the opportunity to see Red Hood in the flesh, at least I'm assuming that's probably him in the costume, what are your thoughts in regards to it? Are you looking forward to Titan season 3? Is there anything you would like to see improved upon or changed? Go ahead and certainly let us know your thoughts in the comment section box below.
I'm just kind of curious though if they're gonna try, if they're even gonna bother trying to play it as a twist that it was Jason Todd in the suit the whole time, or if they're just gonna tell us right off the bat, because I feel like everyone already knows,
like hide his identity or something like that, like to hide his identity. Possible. So like the rest of the team doesn't know. It's funny story. I came on a couple of weeks ago when we talked about Red Hood. I laughed at the idea. I was like, it just doesn't make sense to me to have Jason Todd come back as Red Hood when you haven't even killed the guy off yet, right? Like you're literally taking your own liberties and changing up the storyline, and I'm perfectly okay with that. It just feels odd because I just don't know what his motivation would be going into season 3 to all of a sudden turn into the Red Hood. But then when I did some research on Brian Edward Hill this week, because he was announced as the new Power Ranger writer for the movie, I realized that the episode that he wrote in Bruce Wayne really does highlight just some really traumatic events for Jason Todd. Like the idea of him surviving a near-death fall, right? He comes back and everybody immediately starts blaming him for all the problems that are going on in the tower when they start realizing, like, who's putting this bottle of booze by my bed and all that, doing all the weird stuff in the tower. Everybody just came down on Jason Todd, and homeboy literally was about to commit suicide at the end of that episode. Like he was literally standing on the ledge of a building sort of thing. So I guess when I come to think about it, not only that episode, but then seeing what happens to Jason Todd with the whole Ravager and Rose stuff and feeling really betrayed, maybe there is an aspect of Jason Todd from season 2 that maybe I can see him going off going off that edge and turning into the Red Hood. I'm not quite sure, but I can see the breadcrumb trail, if you will, leading up to this, but still feels a little bit too early to me. But maybe that's just me.
Yeah. Like I kind of agree with both sides. Like I, on the one hand, do think it is kind of early, but on the other hand, it's not like they haven't set it up.
Right, definitely. Outside of the appearance here of Jason Todd as excuse me, as I can't remember, there's Red Hood. We also do have a new appearance for another familiar face here in Batwoman. Javicia Leslie is in fact playing the new Batwoman here, and we now have an official brand new shots of her. You remember, Stuart, a couple of weeks back, we got this shot, which I don't think many two people were thrilled with. I thought it was okay, but the wig had to go, right? And the wig has gone. And they not only has the wig gone, but they've also given her some additional highlights in additions to her cape and gauntlets and things like that, her hairstyle. I'm absolutely loving what we're seeing here. And these are our first official looks at Javicia Leslie as Batwoman in a brand new Batwoman costume. When you get the opportunity to see this, Stuart, compared to the brief headshot that we saw a couple of weeks back, what are your thoughts?
I think it's awesome. I think there's a reason that the previous photo wasn't like kind of. I feel like the previous photo was actually leaked on purpose because they really wanted to get that fan feedback. Like I feel like they knew that something needed to change, but they wanted to make sure the fans also wanted something to change as well, rather than make that decision on their own. So I think that was the purpose for that. Usually is the purpose for like leaking photos and information like that. And I think in the long run, it did kind of play out for the best because this is what they ended up getting out of it.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely not unheard of that a studio would put out something just as a testing, right? Just to kind of see what the reaction certainly would be. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm pretty sure, if anything, we'll certainly see Javicia Leslie in this costume at some particular point in time, but I wouldn't be surprised if she eventually goes on to make it her own and start adding her own elements, so it does become a suit of hers. So I think that was a great idea for them to kind of tease us with this and be like, but this is what she turns into, guys. And I'm really loving it. Now, I know Javicia's hair is naturally like that, bringing back the natural hair, by the way. I absolutely love it. But I do believe that is a wig on her with the highlights. But I love the addition of the red. I even love the addition to the red on the cape, because I don't recall the red being on there for Ruby Rose's cape, but maybe I'm wrong. And I love the new red gauntlets that she winds up having. Really makes the costume pop a little bit more for me, honestly, as well.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with that.
I wonder if they made any other design changes to the bat or not. Other than that, I mean, besides her hair, the gauntlets, and the cape, I don't really see too much of a difference. But regardless, I think the extra color certainly helps make this pop. But guys, now that you've got an opportunity to see a new official look at Javicia Leslie's new Batwoman costume, definitely go ahead and let us know your thoughts in the live chat or the comment section box below. Any other honorable mentions, Stuart, that you wanted to bring up real quick?
There's it's not really nerd related, but it is kind of just a really funny show I found on YouTube. They've only released one episode of it so far, but it's by the creators of South Park, called Sassy Justice, and it's
I feel like I've seen a commercial for it or a trailer for it or something.
You might have. It just kind of impressed me because the entire thing is done using deep fakes. So you know how, if you know anything about the creators of South Park, you know that they love doing they love making fun of them, like of celebrities all the time. So this is their way to like kind of make fun of celebrities, but actually like use their likeness throughout the whole thing. But I guess they get away with it because they make it very clear that these aren't like actually the celebrities; these are deep fakes. But yeah, it was pretty funny.
That's funny, man. I'll have to check it out. I'm a sucker for a really good deep fake, so I'll have to go ahead and check that out. Quick honorable mention also, real quick, we'll just breeze over it. Uncharted, the film, has officially wrapped filming. So Uncharted is currently in post-production. So hopefully we will get that movie in the theaters at some particular point in time, because Tom Holland now has moved on to Spider-Man, but Uncharted has in fact wrapped filming. And also, Stuart, Tiny Toon Adventures is expected to come back. I saw a news report which made me laugh, because we literally just talked about the Animaniacs returning last weekend, and now we're bringing back Tiny Toons. yeah, nothing goes out of style these days, man. Right? Like they eventually will reboot or bring something back. But if you're gonna bring back anything, Animaniacs and Tiny Toons ain't a bad choice, man, and not a bad choice. Were you
Bring
a fan
back
of the show?
Freakazoid then. Oh yeah, I love Tiny Toons and Animaniacs.
You said
So I'm just
Freakazoid?
like, yeah, if they're bringing those two shows back, they better bring back Freakazoid then.
That would be fantastic, man. That'd be fantastic. All right, ladies and gentlemen, those are just the honorable mentions, but we're about to go ahead and tackle the news for the week. Are you ready to go ahead and get into the nitty gritty, Stuart?
I am.
Awesome. All right, guys. Well, hey, the first story up that we're going to be talking about, movement continues when it comes to the MCU and their Disney Plus era shows. I feel like every 2 to 3 weeks, Disney and Marvel just have brand new information set up for us to be revealed. It was just on this show maybe about 3 weeks ago, Stuart, that we were talking about the introduction to our new Miss Marvel, who was officially cast. Not only did we get Miss Marvel, but we also got like directors and writers announced. And on that show, I honestly said I wouldn't be surprised, Stuart, if in like 2 weeks we actually get ourselves a cast reveal for something like Moon Knight, right? It's the next man up. Maybe we'll get something. Well, ladies and gentlemen, it happened. It has happened. This is coming to us from Deadline.com. Moon Knight has let us know that Oscar Isaac has been tapped to star in the Marvel and Disney Plus series. I feel like this is probably one of the more sought after roles when it certainly was announced as a television series. I think the hype for Moon Knight certainly has been there. And I think people have been sitting on their hands as patiently as possible, trying to see exactly who was going to be cast as this role. There were even rumors of like Keanu Reeves being brought on board and things like that. But according to Deadline, Oscar Isaac is tapped to star in Marvel's Disney Plus series. Let's go ahead and break this down. It says, with his time in the Star Wars franchise coming to an end, Oscar Isaac sets his sights on the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Deadline is hearing he is in negotiations to star as the title character in Moon Knight, the Marvel and Disney Plus series based on the comic book hero. Jeremy Slater, who developed and wrote Netflix's series adaptation of The Umbrella Academy, has been tapped to develop and lead the writing team on the series for the streamer. Some information on Moon Knight. It says, AKA Marc Spector is a mercenary who has numerous alter egos, cabbie Jack Lockley and millionaire playboy Stephen Grant, in order to better fight the criminal underworld. But later he was established as being a conduit for the Egyptian moon god Khonshu. Most recently, the character was a consultant who dressed in all white and goes by the name Mr. Knight. It does say here that Marvel and Disney is looking to go ahead and pick up a director, which they just recently did, if I'm not mistaken. The director is Mohammed Diab, so they have picked up a director all within this week, mind you. They've made these announcements. But yeah, I'm looking really, really forward to this, Stuart. Honestly, you know, when it comes to somebody like an Oscar Isaac, I think he's just a brilliant, just star. To be honest with you, I think one of the first movies I recall seeing Oscar Isaac in was Ex Machina, if I'm not mistaken. And I feel like ever since I saw him in that movie, man, I've just been really fond of just all his work. I believe he's also going to be in the upcoming Dune project that they're currently working on as well. So, I mean, I don't necessarily know if it was the Star Wars franchise that certainly gave him all these amazing opportunities. I think he probably would have found these opportunities by himself. I mean, the guy is just that talented. But I love seeing just his stock and his star rise, and the fact that Marvel was able to once again knock it out of the park with this casting choice. I think Oscar Isaac is as good as anybody to certainly pull off this role. And I'm really glad, if anything, that he's just in the MCU because he's so incredibly talented, and I'm so glad that Marvel was able to lock him down. But what are your thoughts, Stuart, now that you hear this news that Oscar Isaac has been tapped to play Moon Knight? Is this the casting you expected? Is it a surprise? Is it a lovely surprise? What are your thoughts, man?
I can't really say it's a surprise. This honestly feels like the safest bet for Marvel. So this totally, like the moment I saw this headline, I'm like, nope, that makes a lot of sense. So yeah, no, I think it's gonna be great. I don't think I've seen Oscar Isaac in anything I didn't like him in particular. Like even X-Men Apocalypse, while I wasn't a big fan of that movie overall, I did think that he did his job decent as the Apocalypse. So yeah, I think this was a very smart decision and a very, very. I know this is a word that people a lot of times use, especially with the Marvel movies, but definitely a very calculated decision as well. But yeah, and I do love that they got the writers for the Umbrella Academy to write this show. Like that was probably the biggest shocker of all. So I am kind of curious of like how. 'Cause I know that show's a lot more mature than other superhero shows. I haven't had a chance to actually watch it all the way through yet, but I will eventually, probably next month. But I do. So it is kind of interesting that they got some people that worked on like a more adult-oriented superhero show, and they're getting them to write a Disney Plus superhero show. So it'll be interesting to see if the writing is similar or if they have to completely change up their style in order to make it Disney Plus appropriate.
Did you say you haven't watched Umbrella Academy?
Not all the way through yet.
Where are you at? Do you recall?
The first episode. I finished the first episode earlier this month, and then I kind of like I kind of stopped almost everything I've been doing this month in regards to like watching different shows or like binging different shows, because I've just been kind of wanting to watch just horror movies kind of this whole month. So I've kind of just been making that like my priority.
I feel you. I will say this: Umbrella Academy season 1, I felt was a little slow to begin with the first couple of episodes, but then once things start connecting and really building, then it really takes off. Season 2 for me was unbelievable. I truly loved it. So I'm like you, Stuart, in the sense that I think one of the bigger surprises for me was just finding out that the people that did create or adapted the Umbrella Academy was tapped to write this. I mean, I get the Umbrella Academy writers and Oscar Isaac on this show. Yes, please, I'll take it, because I think they just, I think they, even though it definitely is a mature style for the Umbrella Academy for sure, I can easily see them taking some of those elements and transforming it into a Disney Plus series, honestly. So I'm really eager to see just what this collaboration with actor and writers is certainly going to turn out to be. But this is definitely one of those announcements that I'm super pumped for, just because I'm such a big fan of Oscar Isaac. And if you guys haven't had the opportunity to check him out in certain things, please go ahead and check him out in some of his movies, because you're right, Stuart, even if he is in movies that maybe not necessarily the strongest, he's never like the weak link of that film at all. Like any material that you give this guy, he'll definitely raise the bar on it and do a fantastic job. I can't remember what the Frontier or Third Frontier, there was a Netflix movie Oscar Isaac was in just recently, and I can't remember the name of it off the top of my head, but if you guys get the opportunity to check it out, it is on Netflix. But look up some Oscar Isaac films, because I do think that he's going to knock this particular role out of the park. I think this is a great casting choice.
I did really enjoy him in Ex Machina, and I thought it was hilarious that both him and the other character from that movie ended up being in Star Wars: The Force Awakens.
Who was the other one from there?
Wasn't that the dude that played General Hux?
Yes, that's right. I can't remember his name, but I know exactly who you're talking about, the redheaded guy. That's right. He wasn't there also. Good call, Stuart. But that's such a great film. But yeah, if you guys get the opportunity, certainly check it out. But we want to know your thoughts. Now that you know that Oscar Isaac has been tapped to go ahead and play Moon Knight, the pieces are coming together. I don't know if there's any other Disney Plus series from Marvel that they have announced but haven't unveiled any information on. Do you know, Stuart, if there's any additional ones? I mean, I feel like we've got most. Oh, you know what? Hawkeye. We haven't really gotten any Hawkeye stuff. I know they announced Haley Steinfeld a while back, but we haven't heard any information in regards to that. So maybe 2 to 3 weeks, Stuart, we get some Hawkeye news.
Hopefully, fingers crossed. I've been I don't know, I've been hearing it seems like they're kind of going back and forth on Haley, because and I'm not sure if it's because maybe the actress has like other things lined up, so maybe they need to wait till her schedule is cleared before they're allowed to officially announce it. But it feels like we haven't actually gotten like an official word from Disney about whether or not she's going to be playing Kate Bishop.
Yeah,
I mean,
I
I could
haven't.
be
I
wrong. Definitely correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, no, I mean, this is something that we've heard a long time ago, Stuart, right? Like maybe sometime last year, I feel like, and there hasn't really been any word on it in regards to Hawkeye, that Kate Bishop role. I swear, I even thought I heard Haley Steinfeld even came out one time and said that she wasn't up for the role or something like that. So I thought she like even disputed it at one point in time. So we'll see what happens. I mean, even Tatiana Maslany, who we just maybe about a month and a half ago talked about her being cast as She-Hulk. She just recently came out too and was just like, I don't know what you guys are talking about. I'm not in, I wasn't picked up for that role. So I don't know if they're just trying to do their best of keeping their mouth shut until Marvel officially announce it or what. But there's still a lot of questions in regards to it. So we'll see what happens. But I feel like Marvel right now is on like a timed calendar. Like they just have a schedule. Like every 2-3 weeks, we're gonna drop information here. We're gonna drop information here. Because I feel like we're timing a lot of this stuff, kind of calling it out. So we'll see what happens, guys. Maybe in 2 to 3 weeks, we'll have some further movement on Hawkeye and or Loki or something. So we'll definitely keep you guys posted. But we want to know your thoughts. What do you think of Oscar Isaac being tapped as Moon Knight? Are you excited for this series? What do you think of him as an actor? Do you think it's great casting? Let us know your thoughts in the comment section box below or the live chat, ladies and gentlemen. All right, Stuart, you know what? We're going to go ahead and continue and stick in this world of Marvel, since Marvel just wants to start finishing development on everything and start pushing stuff into production these days, which I'm so glad, because there was a time when DC, I felt like, was just filling the airwaves and the newswaves with information, and Marvel was nowhere to certainly be found. But Marvel's making a comeback, guys. One of the upcoming Phase 4 movies that we certainly have to look forward to is Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings, one of my more anticipated MCU films to certainly look forward to. But it has officially come to us, ladies and gentlemen, that Shang-Chi has wrapped filming. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. The upcoming Marvel Phase 4 film has wrapped. This comes to us from Deadline.com, letting us know that Simu Liu and director Destin Daniel Cretton celebrate first Asian-fronted Marvel Studios superhero pick. Love this photo of Simu, I got to admit. It says Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings is the latest film in the Marvel Cinematic Universe that has completed production. Simu Liu, I can't pronounce his last name. Is it Simu Liu or Liu? Do you know, Stuart? Because you know I butcher names, sadly.
Yeah.
Liu. It says the front man of the upcoming superhero pick, as well as the film's director, enthusiastically announced that the film has wrapped shooting. We made it, baby, is what declared Liu on Instagram, with a pic him adored in Lays. We can't wait to introduce him to the world in 9 months, like giving birth to Shang-Chi over here in the next 9 months. It says Cretton also posted a picture of himself, his wife, letting everybody know that they have in fact wrapped. He says, for all those who have hated us because of the color of our skin or been made to feel less than because of it, no more. This is our movie, and it will be impossible for Hollywood to ignore us after this. I love those bold words, man. I love those bold words, especially in the day and age with Hollywood just trying to hold people back. So I'm really glad that we're actually getting this film. It says filming on Shang-Chi kicked off on February 2020, and like all productions, it was shut down in March due to pandemic. Filming did resume in July, and it is set to hit theaters July 9th in 2021. So we'll see if it actually keeps that scheduled date, with everything being moved to the side right now. Everything is up in the air, but they're on pace. They're certainly on pace to be able to get this movie out. We'll see if it certainly happens. But Stuart, you hear the fact that Shang-Chi has officially wrapped productions. What is your thoughts in regards to this, sir?
Dude, I think I'm like really excited for this film because Master of Kung Fu, the comic books were one of the first comic books I actually ever read back in the day, because my dad, kept a lot of comics from his childhood, and I guess that was
nice.
one of the ones he used to keep up with like on a monthly basis. So some of the old Master of Kung Fu comic books I used to absolutely love reading. So I'm excited to see this come to the big screen, especially with the fact that I think that like I'm assuming if it's going to revolve around the 10 rings, that they're using the Mandarins as the main villain. So I am excited to see them actually do that character justice. So we get like kind of, you know, so it's almost like they're tackling two birds with one stone here. For one, they're finally giving us the real version of the Mandarin, and for another, we get like, you know, a Shang-Chi movie, which is something I never thought we'd get. At the very most, I thought we'd maybe get like a Netflix series for it, but that would be it. So this is actually really exciting to me.
Yeah, I agree, man. I think when we you know, when they first released the Netflix series that we wind up getting, right, with Daredevil and Jessica Jones and Iron Fist, like you, I was under the impression that maybe they would transition over to a Shang-Chi television series or something like that at some point in time. So the fact that we're even getting a Shang-Chi movie, I'm so thrilled about. It's not really like if you were to tell me, hey, name a Marvel character that you feel like deserves his own movie or would make like a really great film. I don't know if Shang-Chi is like my first one of my first suggestions, but as a lover of martial arts and just that culture, I'm so glad that they're honestly bringing this to the big screen, because I do think that this is going to blow some people away. And you're absolutely right. I'm glad you bring up the Mandarin storyline here, because maybe this is sort of like an apology letter to Iron Man 3 complainers who were kind of bummed about the idea of what they got for the Mandalorian, the Mandarin, you know. So I'm hoping that there is a Ben Kingsley sighting in here to reprise his role as somewhat. I think the last time we saw him was in like a Marvel one shot, I believe. Didn't they like kidnap him from prison or something like that?
I was going to say, I think he got shot at the very end of that movie, or the end of the one shot that you were talking about.
I thought they captured him and like broke him out, but maybe I'm wrong. I'll have to go back and rewatch it. You think they killed him?
I thought they did, but I could be remembering it wrong. But I swear, I thought I remembered the one dude being like, "Our master doesn't like that you used his name," and then shooting him.
Oh, shooting him. You might be right. Then you might be right. I mean, can I get a flashback moment? Can I just get his name? Trevor. What was his name? Was it? I can't remember. Trevor. Dang it, I can't remember his name now.
I forgot too.
But you know, I'm such a huge fan of Ben Kingsley. So if they wanted to bring him back in some form or another, for even if it's a brief cameo or at least a mention, I think that would be great. Just to kind of make those connective tissues between this film and the previous Iron Man movie. But you know, I've never really seen Simu Liu in anything else. Honestly, I've never really seen his work, so this might be my introduction to him. I mean, maybe I'll go back and check out some of his previous work before I see this film, but I can't lie, Stuart. My enthusiasm level for this is off the charts. The way that Marvel tells their stories, mixed in with some, there's got to be some incredible martial arts action in here. I think this is going to be a film that I'm going to fall in love with, honestly. So I'm really pumped, just like you, man.
My thought is a lot of martial arts films that I love tend to have like really low budgets. So I'm assuming if they're going to go with that kind of style that they usually have in those kind of movies, it would be cool to see what those movies could have looked like if they had that Marvel money.
Yeah, right. And I would be like, I can see Marvel also maybe paying homage to like some, you know, some other martial arts films that are out there. I would love to see if they change up maybe the production style a little bit, just to kind of harken back to maybe some classic martial arts films from back in the day. You know, just not the whole film, but just moments here or there. I think would be really cool if they spiced it up that way. But I'm eager to see. Hopefully we'll get ourselves our first look at a real Mandarin. Yeah, Shang-Chi is almost here, ladies and gentlemen. Sit tight. Wrapping for the film has begun. Now it is, in fact, in post-production. But ladies and gentlemen, now that you know that Shang-Chi has completed its filming, what's your levels of enthusiasm? Is there anything in particular that you're looking for in this Shang-Chi film? Certainly go ahead and let us know your thoughts in the live chat or the comment section box below.
One thing I hope they bring into it, though, I know a lot of people are kind of sick of this because I feel like it's now used more for parody than it is for like actual serious moments, but I still think it's kind of cool. The 360 like camera thing, when, you know, you got like martial arts going on like in the middle of the air, like you take a moment, you pause the action, show like the
like
entire
that Matrix.
Yeah, exactly. Like I feel like now that's done more for parody than it is for like actual martial arts, but it's like, come on, did we all forget how cool that was back in the day? I still think it's cool, so let's bring that back.
Yeah, maybe just more updated technology. We can certainly make that work for sure. You know, it almost reminds me, Stuart, of like, and just to go off a topic a little bit, Super Sentai. Like, I feel
Mhm.
like in some of the Super Sentai fighting choreography, they've got these cool drone shots, or just shots that look like drone shots that give you like these 360, while the action is certainly going on, like not pause or anything, but while it's going on, you've got the camera going around or up and under sort of thing. It's really cool how they do it. So maybe we'll get some pretty cool fighting techniques from Shang-Chi. Maybe they'll push the envelope a little bit when it comes to martial arts films. I certainly hope so, because
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to it. But guys, listen, we want to know your thoughts. So please let us know your thoughts about the Shang-Chi film in the live chat or the comment section box below, ladies and gentlemen. Before we move on, because we're going to get into our third topic. Again, guys, if you have any questions that you certainly want to go ahead and submit over for us to answer at the end of the show, you certainly can by submitting your email to us at aplusopinions@gmail.com. Again, aplusopinions@gmail.com. If you have any questions in regards to these topics, anything else that you've read throughout the week, go ahead and submit them over today, and we'll go ahead and get to them at the end of this episode. All right, Stuart, let's go ahead and continue this momentum, man. We're going to go ahead and on to our next topic. We're going to change course here a little bit and get into some video game talk. That's right, guys. When it comes to video game movies and television series, they've definitely have had their ups and downs. Unfortunately, I think Sonic, for some, would certainly say was a success. I'm not sure exactly how much money it made at the box office, but as far as like the appeal to it, I think people really enjoyed that film. You got Tomb Raider by Alicia Vikander that was coming around for sure. We've got Uncharted that's certainly in the making as well. But one film that we certainly got a couple years ago was Assassin's Creed with Michael Fassbender, which unfortunately for many just flopped at the box office. Unfortunately, just was not a good film. If you enjoyed it, hey, I'm certainly glad that you did. I'm just talking about critics and other people that I have certainly heard. Unfortunately, Assassin's Creed didn't do too well, and I think many were hoping that that would be sort of the savior of video game movies, if you will. But ladies and gentlemen, despite what Assassin's Creed did in the movie theaters, we have not heard the last of Assassin's Creed. We do have some further development here for you guys. This actually comes to us from Deadline.com. Once again, letting us know that Assassin's Creed live action TV series is in the works at Netflix as part of a content deal with Ubisoft. So I completely forgot about this partnership between Netflix and Ubisoft. They've got some great titles that I'm really looking forward to seeing what they wind up adapting. But the fact that we're getting ourselves an Assassin's Creed live action TV series, you have my attention, Netflix and Ubisoft. Let's go ahead and dive into this article here. This lets us know Netflix is looking to build an Assassin's Creed TV universe. The streamer has entered into a content agreement with Ubisoft to develop live action, animated, and anime series based on the international best-selling video game franchise. So that's live action, animated, and anime just for Assassin's Creed, not even talking about their other Ubisoft titles yet. It says the first series in development is an epic genre-bending live action adaptation. The series executive produced by Ubisoft Film and Television's Jason Altman and Danielle Krennic is looking for a showrunner. So they don't have a showrunner as of yet. This is what they stated, though. We're excited to partner with Ubisoft to bring to life the rich, multi-layer storytelling that Assassin's Creed is beloved for. From its breathtaking historical worlds and massive global appeal as one of the best-selling video game franchises of all time, we are committed to carefully crafting epic and thrilling entertainment based on this distinct IP and provide a deeper dive for fans and our members around the world to enjoy. Um, so yeah, let me see. I think this is, he also says for more than 10 years, millions of fans around the world have helped shape the Assassin's Creed brand into an iconic franchise. We're thrilled to create an Assassin's Creed series with Netflix and looking forward to develop the next stage or the next saga in Assassin's Creed universe. Stuart, I cannot lie. I love this news. While I have not played video games in forever, I think the last video game I played and finished was Jedi Fallen Order. But for anybody that knows me, when it comes to my gaming, I love Assassin's Creed. I picked up like the first three ones that's really focused on was it Enzio, and then one of my other favorite ones, Black Flag, for me was great. I love the idea of being able to be a pirate and sail in the seas and stuff. So much greatness in regards to it. But there is such a great lore and depth to this franchise that I love, from being able to being in like present or futuristic day, to revisiting the ancestor, the memories of sort of your ancestors from generations, and being able to relive those events, and just the time periods that they have selected for the Assassin's Creed video games. If you're a fan of like historical references, I feel like they could just do such a huge deep dive into this world and really expand it in a television series that maybe is more beneficial to them than a movie, because there is a ton of content and a ton of lore in Assassin's Creed. And while I personally haven't, I honestly didn't even watch the Michael Fassbender Assassin's Creed movie just because I heard how terrible it was. I may have to go back and check it out for myself, but I just feel like this IP in particular is really suited for television series. And just based off of how many iterations of this video game that we've seen, all the different characters that they've highlighted, from like the Greek, the mythology or the Roman side of things, and then pirates, and going over to London and England and things all the characters that they could introduce. I love the fact that this isn't just going to be a live action TV series, but they're also going to be exploring an animation. And can you imagine an anime version series of Assassin's Creed, when we've been getting some great animated series from Netflix like Godzilla and things like that? Like, I would love to see what they have in store for this. So Stuart, count me in, man. I think the storytelling is rich and right up its alley for a TV series. And if you ask me, I think sometimes video games probably would make better television series than they do movies. I mean, look at The Witcher. I mean, granted, the series is based off of the novels, but there's so much rich history there that I think television series probably are almost better suited for video games. But regardless of that, I am kind of curious to know your thoughts. But regardless of that, what are you feeling about this Assassin's Creed live action TV series? Are you as pumped for me as it, or are you kind of hesitant?
I wouldn't say I'm pumped for it, but that doesn't mean I don't think it's going to be good. I've just never been a fan of the Assassin's Creed franchise, and like a lot of critics, I absolutely hated the Assassin's Creed movie. I thought it was just like really, really bad, unfortunately. But with that being said, I do think like the creativity that goes into the world building when it comes to the Assassin's Creed games, I do think that would translate very well when it comes to television, way better than it would when it comes to a movie. So I do think this will be something that will please the fans. I'm just unfortunately, I'm not one of those fans who would be super hyped about it. I think my girlfriend, she's like a decent, like kind of casual fan when it comes to Assassin's Creed. So I think she's definitely looking forward to the show slightly more than I am currently.
No, I definitely understand that. Like, I think for me, a lot of my excitement level really comes from I enjoy what Netflix does with their TV series. The fact that they really put attention to detail, they put a ton of production value into it, right? Granted, they haven't tapped a showrunner for this yet, so we don't really know what the vision is going to be like, or who's going to be coming on board to kind of shape this world as of yet. But at least for me, when you tell me, hey, we want to do an Assassin's Creed TV universe, I immediately just think of all the previous video game iterations we've had, and just picking and choosing like what I could see them doing for like an animation series, tapping into live action. So I just think they have a gold on their hands if they really manage to put this universe together really, really well. But for me, I think the full enthusiasm will come once we have a showrunner and we have like an actor on board as well attached to it, to see who's going to be playing which character. I mean, we don't even know who they're going to be focusing on, right? I mean, who knows if they go back to Enzio, to the original ones, or maybe they create a brand new character for us for this series for us to jump into. Do you have a preference, Stuart? I know you're not the biggest fan of the franchise, but would you have a preference?
Honestly, if they wanted to just pretend the movie didn't happen and then just go with Michael Fassbender again,
And
giving
bring it
him
back.
one more chance. Yeah, I think that's probably one of the things that really disappointed me about the film. Is I'm like, because Michael
Because he's
Fassbender
such
to
a
me
good
is like
actor.
one of the best actors out there,
Yeah.
and even he does a terrible job in the ass in Creed movie. And I put as much effort into that joke as they put into making that film.
And it's crazy because I'm like you, man. I love Michael Fassbender. What he's been able to bring to roles like Magneto has been incredible. So for me, when I look at him in this role, I'm like, what did you read in the script that made you be like, yeah, I want to make this movie? You know what I mean? Like, it makes me scratch my head sometimes. But you take chances, and sometimes it doesn't work. I almost
Mhm.
wonder if that Assassin's Creed director was he like a first time director? Do you recall?
I don't even know who directed it.
Me either. I don't
I
remember
didn't
off the
really
top of
look
my head.
into the production of it at all.
What I will say, Stuart, one other thing that really jumps out at me for this article, though, is the fact that they have a content deal with Ubisoft. If you
Mhm.
are a big video game head and you like some of the content that Ubisoft has created, for me, it'll be interesting to see what other content they tap into, right? Because I believe Ubisoft also does like Far Cry. I believe they do a ton of like Tom Clancy stuff also. So I do think that there's a plethora of like great video game content that they could easily adapt into TV series or different forms. I'm not sure if there's a particular like Ubisoft game that you're a fan of, but if you are a fan of Ubisoft and what they create, there's a big chance that Assassin's Creed isn't the only thing that Netflix taps for them to go ahead and develop.
I'll say this. If they really want to get onto the trend of cinematic universes right now, and I'm not sure if the contract would allow them to do this because maybe there's a whole big difference when it comes to Clancy games and Ubisoft. But I mean, all the novels are connected essentially for Tom Clancy. All the novels that the games are based on are all in the same universe. So if they really, if they wanted to, and if they were allowed to, that's one thing they could totally open up is like a Tom Clancy cinematic universe. So like maybe
I
start with a Splinter Cell TV series and maybe do like Rainbow Six as a TV series as well. And then just like kind of have characters like go from one show to another like every once in a while. Like obviously you wouldn't be building up to any Avengers like team ups, but it would be
Right.
kind of cool because you could have, kind of like what they do with all the CSI TV shows, just
Yeah.
have characters make cameos like once a season on each other's shows.
That would be pretty cool. That would be pretty cool. And I think they even do like Prince of Persia. Like I used to love that game back in the day. I wouldn't mind seeing a Prince of Persia something adapted. That would be cool. Can we get a Prince of Persia Assassin's Creed crossover or something? I don't know if that'll work or not. But regardless, guys, we want to know your thoughts. Ubisoft has a deal with Netflix. Are there any Ubisoft titles you would like to see developed also? And now that you know that they are working on an Assassin's Creed TV series universe from live action to animated to anime, what are your thoughts, guys, in regards to that? Let us know your thoughts in the live chat or the comment section box below, ladies and gentlemen.
You know what's really bad is that I could actually see how an Assassin's Creed Prince of Persia crossover could work. You just get like the descendant of the main character you play as in Prince of Persia, and then they do like kind of the whole mind thing where they try to look into his ancestors' memories to find out where the sands of time went.
Yo, I dig that. See, boom. Come on, guys. I hope creators, showrunners start writing this stuff down, guys. We're coming up with great material for you. All right. Well, guys, again, let us certainly know your thoughts in regards to that. Now, we're going to go ahead and move on to another topic here. We're going to transition into some DC talk for you, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to start off with some movie talk. One of the more anticipated films that we're certainly looking forward to is, in fact, James Gunn's Suicide Squad. When we wind up having DC fandom, they really let off the lid to what James Gunn was certainly working on in the future. I mean, from the roll call to showcasing us some of the most amazing characters that he had for this film, along with a great behind the scenes footage as well to really show you just the mayhem and how epic of a scale this movie is certainly going to be on. Well, right now, guys, this month, Empire Magazine is doing a huge focus on the Suicide Squad. They actually released some brand new like magazine covers for Empire last week, which we highlighted here on A Plus Hero Report. But now we're finally getting a little bit in depth into the interview that's going on in the Empire Magazine article for the Suicide Squad. So we wanted to go ahead and highlight just some of the things that James Gunn talked about as he opens up a little bit more about the Suicide Squad. So Stuart, are you ready to go ahead and dive into this article with me?
Yes, I am.
Let's go ahead and deep dive into this. Again, this is from Empire Magazine, guys. It says James Gunn on how it relates to David Ayer's film and why it's different from Guardians. And we got some exclusive images here too. We get to see Polka Dot Man. You've got the Peacemaker here. I think this is Bloodsport, if I'm not mistaken, played by Idris Elba. I cannot remember the lady here though, and who she's playing.
Catcher, I think.
Okay, all right, perfect. So I have a brand new exclusive image from Empire there. I think the costumes look incredible. So let's go ahead and talk. I'm just going to highlight some of the things that were talked about in this article about James Gunn, but it says it's not necessarily a continuation of David Ayer's film, but not exactly a reboot either. There are several returning characters, including Harley Quinn, Rick Flag, Amanda Waller, Captain Boomerang. What exactly is the Suicide Squad? And this is what Gunn says. He says, it's its own thing. It does not contradict the first movie, I don't think. It might in some small ways. I don't know. He says, for all that, Ayer's film is not considered a narrative success. Gunn has plenty of praise of the original squad his predecessor assembled, so much so that he brought plenty of them back. He said, listen, David Ayers got in trouble for the movie. I know it didn't come out how David wanted it to come out, but he did one really, really great thing, and that is he picked up fantastic actors to work with, and he dealt with these actors in building their characters in a really deep and fearless way. It's something David definitely deserves to be lauded for, and it definitely added to this movie. So real quick, just off of that alone, Stuart, I do want to say, first off, I love that James Gunn is so supportive of other artists. I feel like some people could be complete dicks to one another if they wanted to, but the fact that he already knows that David Ayer is already taken shit from the fans and from people in regards to maybe the first Suicide Squad, that he's not going to crap on David Ayer even more. If anything, he kind of really turns it around to kind of praise him for what he did. And I got to be honest, like, while I'm not the biggest fan of the first Suicide Squad film, I really did like some of the characters, though. Like, I really enjoyed the Harley Quinn stuff. Deadshot, to me, I thought Will Smith did a great job as Deathshot. I really enjoyed, especially if you watch the extended look at Suicide Squad. I love what he did with the relationship between the Joker and Margot Robbie and things like that as Harley Quinn. So there are some really great elements behind these characters. Amanda Waller, my goodness. I mean, so I love the fact that James Gunn really sort of, I don't want to say handpicked, but really picked some of these characters to come back and really build off of them. So what are your thoughts in regards to what he had to say about David Ayer's film, though, Stuart?
Yeah, I definitely think it's cool that he wasn't trash talking David Ayer, the dude who's, he's making the sequel for. So I like that. And I like how he made it clear that he's not contradicting the first one. So the first one is still like going to be canon going into this. Cause I know that was like the big thing. A lot of fans were kind of speculating is, oh yeah, James Gunn is going to just ignore the first one and to do his own thing. I'm glad that he makes it very clear that that's not the case. In a way, it kind of reminds me of the J.J. Abrams and Ryan Johnson stuff, where like everyone thinks there was rivalry between the two of them, even though like neither director have ever said that one way or another. They have said it one way. They have said it's not a thing, but yet people still try to say there's drama there. And yeah, I think it's kind of the same thing with David Ayer and with James Gunn, just that idea of, it's James Gunn is giving, it sounds like he's giving the first Suicide Squad film plenty of respect, and he's not trying to say his movie is going to be superior. He's just saying that, he's building on what David Ayer started, keeping what he really liked about it, including some of the actors. Like, I do agree with him. I thought Margot Robbie and Jai Courtney, who I usually don't like in most of his films, I was really shocked at how much I really loved his Boomerang.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't mind his Boomerang so much. I mean, he definitely has his moments, for sure. So the fact that they brought him back, I didn't mind. I'm just not the biggest Jai Courtney fan in general, but I didn't mind his portrayal of Captain Boomerang, and it was pretty funny also in Birds of Prey to see his quick cameo on the Wanted poster. Also, I'm like, homeboy's still out there, so I'm glad that they made reference to that. But going back to the article here, it says, with a host of bonker new players this time around, just look at Polka Dot Man, or the half-human King Shark, or not even half-human Weasel. There are hopes that Gunn can pull off something special with the Suicide Squad movie. He does, after all, have form in putting together a bunch of a-holes and a tonally irreverent comic book adaptions. Though his squad is far less trustworthy than Guardians. This is what James Gunn says. He says, I think from pretty close to the beginning that all of the Guardians are good, apart from Nebula, who's the outliner. But in the Suicide Squad, some of the characters end up being good, some end up being terrible. They don't just get in fights and say they're going to kill each other. They actually do get in fights and kill each other. You really don't know who's going to live and who's going to die. I was given full freedom to kill anyone, and I mean anyone, by DC. This is DC just saying, hey, you know what, James Gunn, you're so big and popular. Whatever you want to do, man, we're gonna follow your. You do whatever you want to do, James Gunn. And he even said, like, yeah, Harley Quinn was up there. Like, if I wanted to kill her off, I mean, he had authority to do anything he certainly wanted to, and I absolutely love that. You know what I will say, Stuart? I love that he brings up the fact that these aren't good guys. These are bad people. And I think one of the things that not was necessarily missing from the David Ayer film, but outside of that whole entire squad, one person died, right? Like, was it Slipknot, the guy that tried to like escape or something like that briefly before they got into the city? And
one dude whose backstory we never
even got, like, he's the only person that died, right? And so while we can clearly see that not everybody of this team gets along, they eventually do get along, right? And they sort of form this team and help each other to combat the villain, right? There's not that element of, I mean, there is that element of I don't trust you, you don't trust me sort of thing, but it feels like in this movie, they're actually going to do something about it, and they're going to be vocal and in your face about it. And I love the fact that he's talking about it this way, because it doesn't seem like anybody's backing down, and people really are going to die. So I don't think we should get comfortable with some of these characters. What do you think, Stuart?
Fully agree, especially because that was like kind of the first thing he teased about the movie when he released the cast list. Before he even said who they were playing, all he said is don't get attached. So right. I have no doubt like a lot of these characters are probably red shirts walking down a hallway saying, I'll be right back.
Yeah, for real. I'm trying to see here if there was anything else, because there was the slashfilm.com did also do another article on the Suicide Squad as well. I think they got a further glimpse into the Empire magazine side of things, where they were talking about how big the movie is. It says in the new edition of Empire magazine, Gunn swears that hold on, let me put this up. It says Gunn swears that the Suicide Squad is far bigger film than either of his two Guardians of the Galaxy movies. It was becoming more and more blue screen on my other movies, and it sort of bums me out a little bit to be spending 3 weeks on a set that's just with a few painted purple rocks. But the Suicide Squad is a big film with so many practical effects. We're really building giant sets. And even his one of the producers said that this is the largest construction project of any movie that they've ever done. More than 100 sets were built for this film, and they're heading to an area that may be familiar to fans of the Arrowverse. It says the movie's mission sends the team to a fake Latin American island called Corto Maltese. And Safran laid out the overarching goal. He says they have to destroy a Nazi army prison and laboratory named Jotunheim, where the political prisoners were held and experimentations took place. So we've got our Suicide Squad members breaking down a Nazi era prison for past experiments that happened in that laboratory. I can't even imagine some of the things that they're going to run across. But if anything, Stuart, what jumps out to me is really just showcasing how epic of a movie this is and how many sets that they've wind up creating. I think you can get a feel for that in just the behind the scenes footage that they wind up showing us, right?
Mm-hmm. Definitely. I'm also like really curious. So if they're doing like that kind of a storyline, are we going to see some like how would I describe it? Maybe some like actually perfect example, since I just watched the movie last night, House of a Thousand Corpses, looking like enhanced Nazi like super soldiers or something like that.
Nice. I was thinking like was it Overlord? I think. I don't know if you've ever seen that film Overlord. I think it came out a few years ago. I think they had to do like soldiers and they ran across some like Nazi experiments and stuff like zombie. It was super weird. But I love the sound of that though, especially with this ragtag group of people. I really am curious to see who they run across. He hasn't revealed the villain of the movie yet. He did say that Kevin Feige knows who the villain is, and Kevin Feige hasn't said a word. I honestly thought I heard somebody say Starro at one point in time. Maybe I'm hearing things though.
I could see that if they're like kind of doing experiments on an island. Yeah, that is something I could see them wanting to keep complete secret. So maybe they're like experimenting on Starro.
Yeah, I was gonna say, hey, we found this starfish at this beach. Let's go ahead and experiment on this and see what happens. And it turns into a gigantic starfish. But I'm loving the way that this is coming together, man. I mean, the fact of how big the sets are. I mean, just looking at all the practical effects and the special effects they're putting together on some of the sets, from the huge explosions to the destruction. I mean, it seems like it's all over the place. Like you're literally in the middle of war when you're filming this type of stuff, and it looks great from everything that I've seen from behind the scenes. So that stuff definitely matches up, I feel like, with what they're saying. But I love his attitude. I love what James Gunn is certainly bringing to this film, and I think we're in for a real treat, honestly, Stuart.
Yeah, without a doubt. Also, yeah, now that I think about it, I think that's actually probably the smartest way you could go about if you want to have like villains that are supposed to be pure evil that you still want your audience to connect to. Easiest way to do that, you have to give them they have to give them a villain that they're fighting that's even like 10 times worse than that. Best way to do that, Nazi scientists, man.
Yeah, everybody hates Nazi scientists, right? So like,
exactly.
we all have that in common, at least. But we'll see what happens, guys. But listen, we want to know your thoughts now that you've heard about what James Gunn has talked about in regards to the Suicide Squad. Does it give you any more anticipation for the film? Are there any particular characters that are jumping out to you that you can't wait to see in live action? Go ahead and let us know your thoughts and anticipation for the Suicide Squad in the comment section box below, ladies and gentlemen. All right, so we got two more topics left, and guys, we're going to go ahead and transition. Oh, real quick before we do, again, just to highlight the Empire magazine articles in case you guys wanted to see the photos one more time. There was another one here also that I didn't get the chance to highlight. It looks like the entire Suicide Squad actually on one of their missions, or at least going to one of their missions as well. So all this stuff was pulled from the Empire magazine, which I believe might actually be on sale at your local newsstand. So definitely go ahead. Do we even have newsstands anymore? My goodness, I can't keep track of all this stuff anymore. But anyway, guys, we're going to go ahead and transition over to some DC television talk as we wrap up. We've got two more topics here. Stuart, this one comes in regards to us from former Arrowverse creator over here and star himself, Marc Guggenheim, who's been in news a lot lately. He's kind of departing the Arrowverse, if you will. He's also building up his own catalog of things that he's working on. I think he's writing the Current Prophet movie for Rob Liefeld. And as we know, guys, he's also been attached to do the Marc Guggenheim show, the Green Lantern show on HBO Max. This comes to us from superherohype.com of Marc Guggenheim on his HBO Max Green Lantern series and the idea of leaving Arrowverse. So let's break this down, Stuart. He says it says Green Lantern fans will have to be patient for a while before seeing the brand live action TV series hitting HBO Max streaming service. The show is currently written by Marc Guggenheim and will feature multiple human Green Lanterns, because they have announced Alan Scott's going to be in this show. We also have Guy Gardner's going to be in here, Simon Baz, and I think Jessica Cruz as well. So this is what Marc Guggenheim explained the production ambitions for his upcoming project. You can't do a 10-hour show or an 8-hour show like an 8-hour movie. Is what he said. I don't think that works. When I see it done, there's always some flabby episodes in the middle. I do think that you have to approach it like a TV series and each episode like its own entity. Even though it's streaming, even though hopefully people will binge it, you got to make each episode a satisfying meal. You've got to look at it with a different kind of tempo that you would have in a 2-hour movie. Certainly the show for HBO Max that we're working on, we're approaching it with the production ambitions of a movie. So we're writing it like a TV show, but we're hoping to produce it like a film, is what he certainly said. And then it says in the same interview, Guggenheim also revealed that he said goodbye to the Arrowverse, where he worked on shows like Arrow and DC's Legends of Tomorrow, besides being involved in the annual crossover event. He did start his journey back in 2012. But yeah, he says he's currently working on a second draft for Profit. But yeah, it seems as though Marc Guggenheim has officially been done with his time in Arrowverse. A little bit sad, just based off of everything that he has put together for us all these years. So that will be sad to certainly see him go. But the fact that he's still working on DC television projects is all that more rewarding for us as fans, to be honest with you. So Stuart, you hear what Marc Guggenheim has to say in regards to how he wants to approach a Green Lantern. Now, while he definitely has 8 to 10 episodes, he certainly feels it should still be written sort of like a TV series instead of an 8-hour or 10-hour movie. What are your thoughts in regards to hearing him talk about this?
I mean, yeah, I definitely agree. I think one of the bigger weaknesses to some of the Marvel Netflix shows was that, I think like when it comes to the middle, they always have kind of a pacing issue. Like I tend to always forget about like kind of their middle stuff, the middle episodes essentially. So I think the idea of like wanting each episode to still have their own kind of good feel to it is a very smart decision. Like you can still have an overarching story that can be told in only 8 episodes, and you don't have to have filler episodes, obviously, but I do think that just trying to make one movie and then extend it for 8 hours isn't the best when writing television in particular. As for him leaving the Arrowverse, it is a little sad to see, but also I'm kind of relieved to hear this because it does mean that he can have a lot more focus on not only the upcoming Green Lantern TV show, but also with his movie that he's writing for Rob Liefeld as well. Like it means that it's easier for him to focus on those 2 projects rather than having to spread himself thin.
That's a good point, right? He doesn't have to worry about being pulled in several different directions for this. So yeah, I'm glad that you wind up bringing that up, and I agree with you and with him also about how he's formatting this show. I mean, it definitely feels as though like yes, there will be an overarching story, obviously, for the whole entire series, but it does seem as though he's planning on at least trying to wrap up each episode in its neat kind of story line. I mean, if you think about it, say like the Zack Snyder's Justice League, right? That's looking to be like a 4-hour movie, but what they're trying to do is they're trying to make it into a 4-part series, right? So it's probably not beneficial to make that feel like a 4-hour movie. If you're doing that, you probably want to add couple things, right? Like an intro, a cliffhanger, being able to wrap up each individual sort of episode in and of itself so that it feels like it's continuing on to the next part, but it's still kind of self-contained in its own episode. So I'm really eager to see how he pulls this off. I think when you have so many characters that they're going to be focusing on with the four lanterns, this probably works to their benefit, especially if they're going to be jumping back and forth to different decades and things like that, different time periods to focus on different Green Lanterns, if you will. This level of formatting might be a little bit easier for viewers to certainly consume with all the maybe time jumping and the multiple characters that they have. If they do have an 8-part or 10-part series that can really keep everything contained, I think it could be in for a really great treat here. So I like Marc Guggenheim's thought process in regards to this, man. I think I mean, I can't say I can't trust the guy. Look what he's given us when it comes to DC television stuff. So if he can bring sort of that added element to it, but still with the budget of an actual movie production, I think we're in for something really, really enjoyable here.
Yep. I think another part of it is he just really wants to make sure he redeems himself for the
Green Lantern movie.
Green Lantern.
Yeah, you might be onto something there, man. So we'll see if Marc Guggenheim can pull this off. You're right, Stuart. Maybe now that he's not a part of the Arrowverse, maybe this will give him the opportunity to really focus on this show and do something better than what he did his certainly his first go around. But I like what we see here. So we'll definitely keep you guys posted once we get further Green Lantern news. But it's going to be sad to see Marc Guggenheim, but maybe we'll get some fresh blood. Like for me, if anything, Stuart, like I wonder with him gone, Greg Berlanti certainly in there still doing as executive producers and things like that. I'm wondering who else they're going to bring on board to kind of help man that ship, if you will. Because when I think of Arrowverse, I've always thought Marc Guggenheim, Greg Berlanti, they just have that presence about them, right? And forming all this. I'm wondering if anybody else is going to kind of come on board and take up that role and help shape DC television for the future, or if this is something where DC's CW shows are slowly going to start dwindling away. You know what I mean? Now that we've got all these streaming shows, what do you think? Do you think this hurts the future of the CW television stuff, or no?
Not necessarily. I think, yeah, I do think the DC CW shows are all going to kind of be slowly ending pretty soon. But I don't think it means that they're just going to be ending all together next season. What I think it means is that they're probably not going to be doing any more spin-off shows. They're just going to be letting every show run their course, and then that'll be excuse me. And then that'll kind of be the end of it pretty much. So as soon as like because I feel like the last two to go will be like Batwoman and Superman. So as soon as those two like finish wrapping up their productions, that'll kind of be it for the Arrowverse overall. But I do think like Greg Berlanti could probably at this point, handle all of these shows on his own as an executive producer, because it's been going on for so long now that I think that pretty much all the showrunners kind of have the hang of it. So they don't necessarily need that overarching or they don't necessarily need that one producer to really oversee everything as much as they needed when they first started the Arrowverse. So I'd say like for the Arrowverse, we probably won't even really notice much of a difference.
I definitely hope not. If anything, I'm hoping that they start promoting some people like Eric Wallace, the showrunner from The Flash. Like, I wouldn't mind if he, winds up getting a bigger opportunity at some particular point in time. I really would like the Arrowverse shows to certainly continue, because I think that was one of my biggest complaints when Marvel kind of canceled all their other shows just to focus on like their Disney Plus streaming stuff. Like, I know Warner Brothers, while they are creating content for HBO Max, I know they're not like, this is the only content that's connected or means anything. I know they're not pushing that, because they have done a brilliant job of building a multiverse. So there definitely can be shows a little bit of everywhere if they certainly wanted to. But there is like a joy and a happiness that I get from seeing these superhero shows on like syndicated television that don't necessarily have to rely on having a streaming service or cable provider to certainly be able to watch, right? I love being able to see different levels of production budget and different visions for a lot of these characters. So I hope that they continue along with that side for regular television, for Arrowverse, and still do their part when it comes to streaming. I don't think it has to be either or. I think you could still do some great stuff on all cable, regular television or streaming. So I hope they keep up with it. I really just don't want to see Arrowverse depart, but I do feel like it is getting to that point for Arrowverse where we got to start making plans if that's going to be the case, right? Start promoting some people, start getting some extra fresh blood in there, and really start formatting a different phase, if you will, for Arrowverse television shows. But we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens with the Arrowverse. But I just thought that was interesting that Marc Guggenheim, unfortunately, is saying farewell to the Arrowverse. But job well done, I should say.
Mm-hmm.
For sure.
Yeah. So yeah, it's one of those things where if the Arrowverse does end, as long as it kind of like actually ends and everything, it all like wraps up, like I'm going to be sad, I'm going to miss it, but I won't be like mad or anything. It's just, you know, everyone kind of, moving on. But
yeah, everything has to come to an end eventually, right?
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I don't think it's gonna like I've heard a lot of people speculating saying that it's all going to be ending in the next couple of years. I don't think it's going to be anywhere near that soon. I think, yeah, like I said, it's like Batwoman and Superman are going to have their full run, their full course, and then same with all the other shows currently going on. They're going to like kind of complete all their contracts. I don't think any of them are getting canceled or anything like that. I think they're just going to run their course. But the only thing I think isn't going to happen is I don't think we're getting more spin-off shows. So that's like the one thing we're lacking from the Arrowverse, that, and at least that's what I think is going to change, but that's about it.
I gotcha. Well, we'll see what if we get further development on Arrowverse and what happens here. But Marc Guggenheim certainly seems to have a bright future, guys. Having really big plans here for Green Lantern and movies along the way as well. So definitely let us know your thoughts in regards to Guggenheim's vision for Green Lantern. And if you want to say a little bit of a farewell to him, Guggenheim yourself, go ahead and certainly do so in the live chat or the comment section box below. Oh, what did happen there? Okay, there we go. And Stuart, we got one more topic. Speaking of the CW and DC television shows, we have been patiently awaiting the return of all of our shows, to say the least. No, they're not ending anytime soon that we're certainly aware of, but 2021 is set up to be a huge year when it comes to our DC television shows. We finally have a schedule release, ladies and gentlemen. This comes to us from superhero.com, letting us know that the CW has set its 2021 dates for The Flash, Batwoman, and Superman and Lois, and additional ones as well. So it says for several months, the CW's Arrowverse was on hold because of the ongoing pandemic. But now that the shows are back in production, the CW is ready to confirm return dates for its superhero series. It says via the Hollywood Reporter, the CW has announced that Batwoman Season 2 will be premiering on Sunday, January 17th. So start marking your calendars, guys. January 17th on a Sunday, our first DC television show returns in Batwoman. The episode will mark the debut of Javicia Leslie as Ryan Wilder, the new Batwoman. After that, we do have on Monday, February 8th, about 2 to 3 weeks later, it says Black Lightning will return for its fourth season. I'm so glad to see Black Lightning pushing into its fourth season. So Sunday, January 17th is Batwoman. Monday, February 8th is Black Lightning. Additionally, The Flash season 7 will drop on Tuesday, February 23rd, so about 2 weeks after Black Lightning. Tuesday, February 23rd, a new series, Superman and Lois, will premiere the same night. So on Tuesdays, we're going to be getting The Flash and Superman and Lois, and that's going to be beginning Tuesday, February 23rd. So it says, however, the return of Supergirl and for its final season and Legends of Tomorrow will be held for later in the year. It's unclear if the CW still plans to stage a crossover between Batwoman and Superman and Lois. So there you go, guys. We have our announcements. Again, Supergirl and Legends of Tomorrow will be taking place later on in the year. But as of right now, Sunday, January 17th, Batwoman. Monday, February 8th, Black Lightning. And then 2 weeks later, The Flash and Superman and Lois on Tuesday, February 28th. So, Stuart, we got our TV shows finally announced and returned. What's your level of excitement for having them back, man?
I'm just pumped that they're actually coming back. Honestly, there was a huge fear I had that we were going to have to wait until like the second half of 2021. I think I've even mentioned this on the show. Like, part of me just didn't believe like we were actually going to be getting them at the beginning of the year because of the pandemic and everything going on. So I am extremely relieved that they're all coming back beginning of next year, and only having to really wait until February to really have everything kind of continue in its flow. It is slightly disappointing that despite all the time planning that they had, they still weren't able to fit Legends and Supergirl on the schedule for the beginning. So yeah, it does suck that we kind of have to wait for that, but at the same time, at least we get God, how many shows is that right off the bat? That's 4, right?
Or yeah, within a month time.
Yeah, so we at least get those 4 that we get to watch week after week. So that's going to be definitely really exciting. And of course, I think I've expressed this a lot. I'm really looking forward to seeing what they do with Superman having his own TV show.
Oh yeah, me too. If anything, that's like one of the things that are really jumping out at me because I've been so used to 6 years or going on 6 years of a Kryptonian and Supergirl and how her show has been handled. But it doesn't necessarily mean that Superman and Lois are going to be handled the same way, right? Different showrunners, different writers. So it's going to be definitely a much different vision. So I'm certainly expecting like a family drama with action. So it'll be interesting to see that side of Clark Kent, which I'm familiar with because of just the Lois and Clark side of things from back in the day with Dean Cain and Terry Hatcher, right? It definitely had more a focus on their relationship and their lives and their own family dynamic, if you will. With a little bit of Superman action on the side. So I'm expecting some great Superman action with a lot of family building, if you will, when it comes to Superman. So I'm super pumped for it. But you're right. If anything, I am glad that they plan on coming back. I'm continuing to hope that production does go smoothly. Like we have seen some pauses in production when it comes to some of the big time movies that are like filming internationally and things like that. Sometimes they'll start for a week. They may get a case, then they've got to like stop production for another week or so and then start up again. So I'm really hoping that we do get a smooth production for a lot of these DC television shows so that they do drop in a timely manner in January when they certainly say that they're going to. But the fact that they've already started filming for a lot of these things makes me really thrilled that we're at least going to get something when January winds up hitting here. So I can't say this is new for us because DC and CW do tend to release their shows, I feel like, not all at once like they used to. I feel like they're spreading it out. Do you know why that possibly is, Stuart?
I would assume they don't want people to get fatigued by having to keep up with 6 different TV shows at once. Because come to think of it, that if you count Stargirl, that's actually 7 different TV shows.
Yeah,
So
they didn't mention anything on Stargirl in this article either, which I believe they are filming Stargirl
Oh, are
as
they
well.
currently filming?
I thought that they were, but maybe I'm wrong. I'll have to look into that. But yeah, I don't see Stargirl on here at all.
Okay. But yeah, like either way, that's 7 shows, so I can kind of see why they want to spread them out currently. So it makes sense to me. I mean, I prefer if they were all playing at once personally, but I also realize I'm probably not the average viewer. So, I'm sure like most people would actually prefer having them kind of spread out.
Yeah, I mean, if anything, I would think that this probably just helps build momentum. I'm so used to, past times in Arrowverse where they were specifically released so close together because you knew going into the season that we were going to have a crossover event, right? And so you almost wanted every show to kind of be on that 9th or 10th episode before you get into the crossover. So the fact that maybe because of the pandemic's thrown everything off, we probably may not get a crossover event like that. So maybe they're just like, you know what, who really cares for this time? We can just release these episodes whenever we want to, because by the time we get the Flash and Superman and Lois, Batwoman's going to be on like episode 4. She's going to be ahead of everybody, sort of thing. So maybe not have that connective tissue that we're certainly used to in the past, but we'll see what they wind up doing here. But maybe it is a way for them to just kind of help build momentum from one show into the other before we wind up having everybody on board at once.
Yeah. So I'm totally cool with them if they wanted to like just not do a crossover this year because of the pandemic, totally understandable, and I think most fans would totally understand as well. You know, especially because of the risks of you know, bringing different actors from one set to another. I could totally see that being a like kind of a hazard or just, you know, a risk altogether. So if they didn't want to take those risks for this particular year, I don't think any fans would be mad.
Yeah, I don't think so either. I feel like they would be pretty understanding. If they wanted to do something small, I would be okay with that. But I haven't heard anything about a crossover. But maybe they will be doing something. I think from the stuff that I have heard, I remember them mentioning that if they were going to do crossover events, it would probably be on a smaller scale. So we'll see if we still manage to get it. I hope we do get something. But we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens.
Mm-hmm. Oh, there is one quick honorable mention about this that I kind of want to bring up is I know that like a lot of Steven has kind of said a couple of times that he's pretty much done with the Arrowverse, but I was listening to a podcast with Michael Rosenbaum. I don't know if you've ever checked out his podcast called Inside of You, but
I haven't, but that's a great title.
Oh yeah, he definitely loves his puns with it. Anyways, really awesome podcast. It actually makes me really want to watch more things with Michael Rosenbaum in them because
he's a great guy. He's like hilarious.
A really cool dude.
Yeah, I saw he came out to a convention here last year or the year before. They had a Smallville reunion. Kristen Crook wind up actually. It was like her very first convention that she had ever attended, and she attended it with Michael Rosenbaum and Tom Welling. It was a great reunion panel that they wind up having. But yeah, he had me rolling and laughing, man. He had everybody laughing. He's so great on the mic, just in person, man. He really is.
Oh yeah, I think that he got told that a lot, and that's why he decided to have his own podcast, which I think is perfect.
It is perfect.
But yeah, like while talking to Stephen Amell, one thing that Stephen was bringing up is that the production on the show that he's currently working on, it has been just going after one disaster to another because of different COVID cases. Like even Stephen himself, just, you know, he was like mentioning he's always been safe wearing a mask and everything, but even he caught COVID while working on set, so they had to shut, you know, the production down completely for a while. And so it got to the point where he like kind of called up Greg Berlanti, kind of being like, or it was Greg or Marc, I couldn't remember which one, but he did kind of say, hey, you know, if you need me, I'm kind of looking for work right now, so if you need me, like, you know, I'm there. And like they kind of said, yeah, we could probably find a way to unwrite your death, I guess.
I mean, listen, you know, the one thing we've been saying is when when Stephen Amell came out and said that he wasn't going to be on the Arrowverse anymore, that he was stepping away, I understood the idea of why he was certainly saying that, you know. But the one thing that I said back then, and I'll say it again, is never say never, right? Because you never know the direction or trajectory in which your career is going to go. You know, again, clearly they're like joking around and playing around, but you never know. You never know what opportunities might happen or be taken away from you. And the next thing you know, you look back and you're like, man, I am pretty fond of my time on Arrowverse. A lot of people do know me from there, right? Like I was super popular back then. Maybe I'll go back and reprise some roles or a quick cameo, or they find something for me to do. So never say never, ladies and gentlemen. When people say that they're done with stuff and stepping away, like I'm still expecting Chris Evans and Robert Downey Jr. at some point in time to pop back up in the MCU. But just pay attention to where people's careers go after they wind up leaving these big tentpole films or television series, and see if they can, you know, tread water and become something else other than what they were from their television shows. So I hope Stephen Amell keeps an open mind in returning at some particular point in time, because you never know, is all I'm saying. You never know what happens, you know?
Oh yeah, exactly. And I think it was really funny. Michael Rosenbaum jokingly after that said, "Oh man, because you just said that, I know a lot of Arrowverse fans are just hoping production continues to, you know, go wrong on your show."
Just come back, Steven. Just come back, man. Yeah, I would absolutely love that. But guys, listen, we want to know your thoughts. Now that you know your DC television shows are returning in 2021, we've got a month of debuts for our characters from January into February. We definitely want to know your thoughts in the comment section box below or the live chat, ladies and gentlemen. But other than that, that's going to go ahead and actually wrap up our stories for you guys today. So thank you, everybody, for certainly joining us today. And if anything, we're going to go ahead and now jump into your live viewer questions, guys. Again, for the future, if you guys want to know, because hopefully you submitted your questions over, but for the future, if you have a question for us, guys, feel free to submit it over to aplusopinions@gmail.com. Again, aplusopinions@gmail.com, whether it's a question in regards to any of the articles we just talked about, whether it's any news reports or quotes or anything you saw online this week that you want to go ahead and talk about. Feel free to submit them over anytime during the week, and we get to them at the end of the show every Sunday at 11 a.m. Central Time. So aplusopinions@gmail.com. With that out of the way, Stuart, if you want to look into the comments and start picking out some things that you want to pop up and talk about, and then in the meantime, I'm going to go ahead and go over to our email account, aplusopinions. Let's see what we got.
One thing I want to bring up for Shadow Nova regarding Titan season 3, actors have been posting about the production. I actually didn't realize they were filming as well. So yeah, it's good that like all these different production crews are able to find like safe ways to begin production again.
Yeah, I was I know they had a lot. I remember last time I saw an interview with Brenton Thwaites, who plays Dick Grayson. I remember he was saying that there's such an international cast that everybody's all sort of all over the world that them just trying to get each other together was a little bit difficult. So they were waiting for things to get a little bit better with COVID before they actually met up. Because I remember him saying that they had the scripts ready. They were just ready for the okay on production. So I guess they did get their okay in regards to production. So I'm excited to see it.
Bacon and Sushi spent his Halloween eating pizza the entire night.
I love pizza, man. So I appreciate that, AJ, so much. Let's see here. This is from Jessica Friedman. This was actually sent last week from Jessica, but I think she sent it in after our show. She says, "Do you think we see Kate Kane come back on Batwoman, and would you like to see a Thundercats movie or a new cartoon one day?" Thank you for that question, Jessica. I appreciate it. Do you think we'll see Kate Kane back, Stuart?
Yeah. I think like Ruby Rose's reason for leaving was because the production of having to do 23 episodes over the course of a few months, and that means like you having to do like one episode a week and having to get it all done really fast. I don't imagine that being easy, but I feel like as long as she's not the main character and she's not having to do as much, I feel like she'd be open to coming back for an episode or two.
Yeah, I feel like she probably would be open to. I mean, the way she talks about it, the one thing I love about just hearing her interviews, there's no burning of bridges. You know what I mean? It's very much like, yeah, despite how things happened and me not being on the show anymore, make no mistake that I love the people that I work with. I love like what we were trying to do. So there definitely is no burning bridges here. If anything, it's just continuing to establish a good relationship and friendship that Ruby Rose has with these people at WB. And I think that's all to her benefit. The idea of as long as they had a good standing in a working relationship, maybe it does keep that door open for a quick cameo for her to certainly come back in, right? Like maybe there is an element of the storyline this year of Batwoman where it does call for the brief appearance of Kate Kane. So I do think that we will see Ruby Rose back, maybe just in a small cameo, maybe not under the cowl anymore, but I wouldn't be surprised if Kate Kane does come back at some point in time. And Stuart, would you like to see a Thundercats movie or a new cartoon one day?
Personally, I'm going with movie. I think a live action Thundercats movie would be like really cool.
I mean, what they've been able to do with Cheetah so far and Kristen Wiig's appearance in Wonder Woman. Granted, I still want to see more, like a better shot of her. The two shots that we did see was like a picture of her on like a notebook for like some concept design arts and things like that, and then just the trailer that we wind up seeing, just brief shots of her. They didn't give you a full on like steady shot to fully embrace her look. But just from the things that I've seen, I'm like, yeah, I think you can bring Chitara to life in a heartbeat. So, I was a big fan of the cartoon series that they had on Cartoon Network a few years back. Considering like a reboot from the original, I thought they did a pretty good job. I'm a little bit bummed they didn't stick around as much as I was hoping it would. And I think both series are on Hulu, if I'm not mistaken. I do want to go back and revisit them. But yeah, bring it on. I'm okay with either cartoon or live action movie. I just want to see Thundercats brought back in some way. So I'll take that.
They better have the theme song, because I feel like I remember the theme song more than the actual show.
Thundercats are on the move. Thundercats are loose. Okay, anyway. Because I'll go on and sing the whole damn thing. Jessica Fryman also had another question. She says, "Hey Adam, is there word on a Stargirl crossover with one of the Arrowverse shows? And do you think Wonder Woman will move its release date or go to VOD?" I'm going to stand firm on this, Stuart. Wonder Woman needs to be in theaters. I know people want to see it on VOD, but man, just some of the epicness that I have seen in the trailer alone, I need to see that on the big screen. I mean, WB will certainly make their decision, and I'll be perfectly okay with whatever they certainly decide, right? I mean, they're sitting on a bunch of money that they use to make this film. I'm sure they've got to pay people back also. So they want to make their money, but whatever WB decides, I'm cool with. But I want to see Wonder Woman in theaters. Patty Jenkins has been adamant about it. What do you think, Stuart? What do you think we're gonna see?
Thought that way for a long time, but after kind of seeing how long this pandemic is going on for, I've kind of just been changing my mind about a lot of things now, and I think movies being released in theaters is one of them. But don't get me wrong, I still really want to see Wonder Woman.
First choice is in theaters, right?
But I also think if Disney wanted to try this with Mulan, which I think they should have, rather than only choosing one or the other. And I know there's rules and regulations, but these were all made before, without the idea of a pandemic in mind. So I think bending some of these rules and regulations would be fine. I don't know why they haven't done that, but essentially, if they wanted to release it on VOD first and then in theaters, like once theaters could like actually safely open up a lot more often, that would have also been like a really good solution on their part. So I find it weird that wasn't the thing that they decided to do instead. Other than that, I mean, I'm still super mixed on it, but I think overall, I think the idea of just why not both?
Yeah, right. Why not both? So we'll see what happens, guys. But thank you very much for that question, Jessica. And I haven't heard anything in regards to the Stargirl crossover this year, right? I mean, I heard things about Supergirl and the Flash or something like that, but I'm not sure. Like we just said, with the pandemic, I'm not even sure what kind of crossovers they're going to be pulling off. So as of right now, I'm not sure what they decided on yet.
Yeah, I'm going to be assuming, just because of the pandemic, that for Stargirl and Black Lightning specifically, those shows aren't going to be doing any crossovers, just because those ones are filming in the States. Yeah.
That's right.
So yeah, for those shows, they'll probably like stay like doing their own thing. But at the same time, I do know that the producers do want Stargirl to cross over with the Flash. But I'm kind of with Brett Bassinger. I think that her crossing over with Supergirl would work a little more and they'd have a little more chemistry. But again, if they're not crossing over this year, it probably won't happen since this is Supergirl's last season. So I'd say expect a Flash Stargirl crossover next year.
I am wondering, with this being Supergirl's last season, I am wondering if they will take advantage of trying to bring Stargirl in really briefly. I think just for the Stargirl franchise, I think that would be really great to get other eyes on that product if they can, right? Like I know this is Melissa Benoist's last season, so can we try and pull this off real quick before she departs, just to give that Supergirl rub on Stargirl and send her off on her way, if you will? So I'm hoping we do, but I do like that idea. Honestly, I think that would be great for those two. Let's see. This comes to us. A couple questions from AJ. What's up, AJ? Also known as Bacon and Sushi. He says, what do you guys want to see or worried about in all the new seasons of Arrowverse? Some of the things that we want to see or worried about. I want to see what the first thing that pops in my head for some reason is save John Cryer. Save John Cryer's job as Lex Luthor, please. I want to see him continue to come on. He's been such a a staple in Supergirl and has done such an amazing job as Lex Luthor for the past 2 seasons. You got to keep him around in some way, shape, or form. Like, and you know, in this upcoming season of Supergirl would be great, and Superman, if they want to utilize it. I still say Lex Luthor for president by the end of Supergirl season 6. We'll see, but if anything, for Supergirl, that would be one of the things that I would want to see. What other shows? Is there anything particular you want to see for other shows?
100% agree with John Cryer's Lex Luthor. And, you know, I think I've mentioned this like twice already on the show, but I really want to see him as president and then therefore like maybe be the main villain for Superman, but have a low key presence in all of the other Arrowverse shows. And I think that would be great, especially, you know, because you got the CW or the Arrowverse in general that loves their social commentary. And I feel like that's like the easiest way you could do it, you know?
Yeah. Yeah,
but
no,
yeah, and plus he's just such a great actor, you know, and I think that or he's such a great actor as Lex Luthor, and it's so funny looking back at like 2.5 Men. I never would have thought this would be the guy who would play like my new favorite version of Lex Luthor.
Me either, man. Me either. I was like that guy, and then I remember, and then I saw that he did have a connection to Superman because of the fact that he was in Superman 4: Quest for Peace as Lenny Luthor, I believe his name was. I think he was like the nephew or something like that of Lex Luthor he played back in the day. So I thought it was a great just a completion of John Cryer's Lex Luthor role. Let's see here. Also for the Flash, I do want to see another Flash introduced, whether it be another version of like Jesse Quick, Bart Allen, another Wally West. I do want to see another Flash introduced to this season.
Would love it if they brought Bart Allen onto the show.
Hey, I think that would be great. What other entertainment franchises would you like to cross over in the universe? Oh, excuse me, in the Arrowverse. So what other entertainment franchise would you like to cross over in the Arrowverse, either live action or animated? Oh, another entertainment franchise.
I got to go with I think specifically if it was one of the earlier seasons, like now would be a little bit too late. But if we could have done this like back in the Flash season 2 and 3, it would have been kind of fun to see a Flash Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. crossover.
Ooh, that would have been pretty neat. Any particular reason why?
Just with Flash and his friends like all being like, you know, really big tech and, you know, scientist kind of dudes, and you know, them crossing over into a universe that they thought was all fictional and then coming to realize that it's all real. I feel like they would just have so much fun interacting with all the characters in S.H.I.E.L.D.
You know, I'm gonna. Oh, go ahead.
Sorry. I just, one thing that just popped in my head, and you could even have the same thing vice versa. Like, you know, because I'm not sure if they've ever made DC references in the MCU, but it would be kind of funny to canonize the idea that the DC universe is fictional in the MCU, along with we already know that Marvel is fictional in the Arrowverse. So I think it would be kind of funny to have it go both ways.
That would be pretty cool. I do like both those suggestions. I have 2 suggestions. The first one, I wouldn't have mind seeing G.I. Joe and Arrow crossover, especially when we had Team Arrow, right? And you had your whole entire squad. Like for me, it would be cool to have like some sort of like a G.I. Joe, like small group of like 5 or 6 have like they're on their mission and Arrow's got to stop some mission and they both happen to like bump into each other at the same time, Team Arrow and G.I. Joe. I just feel like because they both don't have like those superpower power sets, well, maybe like Black Canary, she's got the metahuman abilities, but I still think like with their team versus like the G.I. Joe squad that's got a bunch of gadgets and weaponry and hand-to-hand combat, like I would love to see those 2 franchises cross over and go toe-to-toe. So G.I. Joe and Arrow would have been great back in the day. And I also I just had the other one, The Boys and Supergirl. Just because of the vast difference between those 2, like I would love to see Melissa Benoist's Kara Danvers like just planted in that Boys universe. It kind of gives me a hint of like Starlight to kind of begin like season 1, how it's kind of started off, just this innocent person, you know, just dropped into this crazy world where being a superhero is more about how popular you are and you know, if your marketability and stuff like that. Like I just think it would be really cool to see Cara Danvers as Supergirl in that world. So yeah, let's cross over the boys and Supergirl as well.
And they'd have to end it with a fight with her and Captain Homelander.
Oh yes, yo, Homelander versus Supergirl. Give it to me, man. Give it to me. Let's even get John Cryer and Giancarlo Esposito in the room together, man.
God,
The head of Bot and Lex Luthor. Yes, man. Let's do it.
And it's funny because he also played Lex Luthor in the Harley Quinn TV series.
Yo.
So you'd have two Lex Luthors technically.
No, that's so great. Great question, AJ, and great answer, Stuart. Also, man. Let's see here. He says a follow-up to yesterday. What made you want to create A+ Opinions YouTube channel? And were you nervous about putting yourself out there on the internet? And when did you get used to doing it as a hobby? I'll even throw this over to you too a little bit here, Stuart. I feel like I've told my story, and I'll tell my story here in a little bit. But what made you want to become a YouTube content creator? And were you nervous about putting yourself out there when you first initially?
Yeah, it's
started.
Sorry, you froze there for a second, so I couldn't tell if you were.
Oh, sorry. Sorry about that.
So yeah, like it's weird. I've done like several attempts at YouTube in the past. Like the first one I did was called WTF Media, which you know, we had a podcast that we. No, wait, I did one before that. This was a podcast I did with my friend Taylor, but he lived all the way up in Petaluma, which made it a bit of a challenge to basically be able to have to drive up there to do it with him. But it was called WTF Did I Watch? And which is kind of where I got the idea for the name WTF Media as like my own kind of YouTube thing. But yeah, it kind of became a challenge because he got a promotion that he absolutely hated, essentially, and he ended up being like getting his own theater, but it was a really crappy theater and all that kind of stuff. And not to mention the pay was barely more than what he was making as an assistant manager. So yeah, a lot of weird factors into that. So it made it so his schedule was like way worse than it, you know, so it was harder to schedule when we could do our podcast together. So that was like my first attempt. My second attempt was WTF Media, which I did with a lot of my friends. And I think the issue is that we all kind of had different ideas in our head of what the channel was going to be about. So, you know, we called our podcast the Podcast After Work, but the format of what the podcast was actually going to be about kept changing over and over. You know, it was then that made me do my own channel where I kind of wasn't sure what I wanted to do yet, but I, you know, thought I could use my channel to like, you know, upload short films, which I haven't done as many, you know, over the last few years as I wanted to, but I'm hoping that changes soon. But then I've also done like kind of some Power Rangers reviews as well on there, along with Doom Patrol and Titans. You know, and I kind of was like at first kind of wanting to do like in like standing in front of a green screen type of reviews, and then just kind of like not really taking any notes, but just like talking for about an hour and then editing it down to like 10 minutes. It's kind of how I did each episode back then, and then kind of switched it to the format that we do on A+ Opinions. And then I kind of just realized it's more fun to talk with someone. So that's when I started Nerds of the Multiverse. So yeah, it's a long history with me and YouTube. You know, which was great for a while. But then again, the same problem kind of happened with, you know, WTF Did I Watch with Taylor, which was that, you know, our schedules just kept conflicting with each other. So we weren't able to keep it going as much as I wanted to. So that was when I eventually kind of reached out to you guys, because I looked at, you know, the schedule of which you guys kind of follow, and I'm like, hey, I could probably keep up with this. And ever since then, it's been great, because I feel like I think the problem is I've always tried to take the lead on most of the other podcasts that we've done in the past. And I think this is kind of what made me realize that it's a lot better for me to start off as a co-host, you know, so I'm able to kind of get the feel of things like working with you guys on A+ Opinions. So I think I've been doing a lot better on this channel than I have in my other previous channels.
Yeah, no, man, I definitely love having you on board, man. I love picking your brain and just hearing your thoughts, and love the way that you're able to express yourself honestly in regards to getting your point across. So yeah, man, I definitely do appreciate having you on board here. As far as like what made me want to create A Plus Opinions, the YouTube channel, and was I nervous about putting myself out there on the internet? Yeah, most definitely. I think that's the number one culprit as to why people don't get on YouTube or put themselves out there, is the fear of putting yourself out there, and really just the what people will say about you, or the disagreement sort of thing. And so I do think it does take a level of um comfortability, or like there is a level of being comfortable with who you are as a person that I think helps some of us maybe even become content creators. Like for me, I always grew up a big nerd, and I always grew up with friends that I could talk about this kind of stuff with. When I started originally, A Plus Opinions was supposed to be a YouTube channel with me and my best friend Jonathan. But Jonathan eventually, went on to get married and have a kid and have a family. And now he's an amazing father and an amazing husband. And he's living his life, man, So unfortunately for us, we didn't get the opportunity to do this together. But that's what kind of inspired me, was the idea that we love talking to each other and picking each other's brains. And we just knew each other off the, like the back of our hands, just great chemistry with each other. So always making each other's laugh. We always thought, man, we really should do sort of a podcast. But when he went on to kind of do his own thing, I decided, you know what, I still want to talk about this stuff, because I'm a big nerd, and I'm huge into Star Wars and Marvel and DC and comic books. And I just felt like this was a perfect fit for me. So when I did first start out, it was in regards to doing Power Ranger videos, but I realized that there was so much more in the nerd pop culture that I was such a big fan of, that I wanted to talk about, whether that be Marvel and DC, or even sports and movies and stuff. And so we kind of dabbled a little bit in that, but it did take us a while to kind of get our feet under us, because he does ask, when did you get used to doing it sort of as a hobby? And I felt like for me, honestly, maybe like 3 years in, man. Like I felt like it took me a while to where I really felt ultimately comfortable and like finding myself as a person. Because I think that's tricky too for some YouTube content creators, is how to be yourself in front of the camera, right? Because I don't think it's necessarily how to be yourself, but I think it has to be a mixture of how to not only be yourself, but also to be some sort of showman and a performer, and to make things a little bit more entertaining, right? So I feel like it's finding myself in front of the camera definitely did take me quite some time. I can't remember exactly when it was, but I feel like 3 years in or so. I feel like maybe I think when CW finally recognized me for my Flash shows and brought me on board for the CW Seed, that we did a small interview back in the day. I think maybe like 4 or 5 years ago, if I'm not mistaken. Got to sit down and talk with Tiffany Smith and Danielle Panabaker, along with a couple other people that watched the Flash show. I'm see if I can try and find that video on YouTube here, but it was on the CW Seed. I think it was Flash Talk or something like that. It was like a Flash after show we were on for a while, but that's when I knew I made it, Stuart. And then,
awesome. And then I didn't even know about that.
and then I got burnt out and I stopped doing it, and then I lost a ton of followers, and then we started back up again. So, YouTube is not easy, man. You get into YouTube because it's a passion, because it's something that you love to do. I don't think you get into YouTube thinking you're going to be a big star, right? I don't think. I mean, some people probably do, they just have that idea, but I never went into YouTube thinking I was going to be a star. I literally went into YouTube because it was a passion of mine. I saw some people doing content and thought to myself, I can do that. I can do that, if not better. So let me go ahead and just put myself out there. And that's the risk you take, though, So was it nerve-wracking? Absolutely. Did I find myself immediately? Absolutely not. It definitely took some work to certainly get there. But yeah, I'm glad that I did, because this is definitely a passion and a hobby of mine I love doing, and something I hope I can continue to do, and not make just a hobby, but hopefully make as a career, and something I can create for myself and not have to work for anybody eventually. You know what I mean? That's the end goal, I think, for everybody at some point in time when you create something for yourself.
Definitely. Yeah, if we ever get to that point, man, let me know.
Yeah, if we ever get to that point, I'll definitely keep everybody posted for sure. But one of these days. All right, guys. But that's going to wrap up all the live viewer questions, at least that we got from our email accounts. So, Stuart, if you want to start bringing up some comments that we have in the live chat, we'll just kind of go through those, and then we'll wrap up this week's episode.
Yeah, let's do it.
I'm trying to see if we had anything else on the Facebook page.
So even this shows that they're gonna overhaul Power Rangers. No Sentai footage, more serious tone. Maybe we can get cheating, backstabbing, and everything serious PR could want. Oh, I think you're muted.
I don't remember. When did that come up in our conversation for the articles? That, or is this, was he talking with somebody?
I'm not sure. I think it just kind of like popped up. I just thought it was a funny comment, so I wanted to bring it up.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Like, yeah, I don't think like I said, like I think for overall, like it'll still be like Power Rangers will still be trying to go for all ages. It'll be more of a MCU kind of approach to it than a TVY7 approach.
Probably a good idea. Shout out over there, say, why give her a wig when her hair already looks like that? Good question. At least I'm under the impression that it certainly is a wig. I thought I read somewhere that it certainly was a wig. But I think it's the highlights, right? Because even when we brought up the photo in our group messenger chat for A Plus Opinions, I remember somebody saying like, isn't that a dead giveaway, right? Like her hair and the red highlights, like even if she's not rocking her Batwoman costume, isn't she still gonna have the red highlights? Like, aren't people gonna be able to just notice like that it's her? So I think that's one of the reasons why I do think that it's a wig. I think the wig with the red highlights is what's supposed to throw them off from the rest of the natural hair that Javicia Leslie winds up having. It's the equivalent of eyeglasses, man, for Clark Kent.
Clark
I feel
has
like
his classic.
she's got,
Ryan has her highlights.
yeah, that's exactly what it is. Let's see here.
James McAvoy.
Oh, okay. Interesting choice for. I do love James McAvoy as an actor. I've never really seen James McAvoy though, like in that superhero role, if you will. I mean, maybe it's a split personalities thing that that we've seen Moon Knight have to struggle with in his career. So maybe that's where he's getting it from. The movie Split, right, where we had to deal with James McAvoy portraying all those different characters and stuff. He also says he thinks Moon Knight is probably the most adult character in the MCU, not including Blade. I am interested, like you mentioned when we talked about the showrunners that were brought on board to do the Moon Knight series from the Umbrella Academy. I really am interested to see exactly like how dark they're certainly going to make this show, because I feel like it probably could be as far as dark wise, as far as Blade, maybe not like gruesome wise, but when I think of Moon Knight, there are some elements to like Batman that I think of, like I said, hiding in the shadows, but there are like just some dark elements to Moon Knight that I am curious to see how dark they do get.
Oh, here's actually something I did not know he was in. I guess Oscar Isaac was in the Russell Crowe's Robin Hood movie, which I actually have not seen that movie.
Russell Crowe, Robin. I don't think I've seen that one either. I've seen the Kevin Costner Robin Hood, but I didn't seen that one before. So thank you very much for bringing that up. He said Drive too. I didn't know he was in Drive at all. I remember Ryan Gosling. Man, I might have to go back and check out these movies. Maybe I just wasn't paying attention to Oscar Isaac back in the day. Oh, here you go, Stuart. Domhnall Gleeson is the other gentleman you were talking about that was in that movie in Ex Machina. He played Professor Moody's son from Harry Potter also. And he plays Bill Weasley. Does he play? Yeah, he does play the other Weasley brother in Harry Potter as well.
No way.
Yeah,
I didn't realize that. Yeah. Like,
yeah,
I noticed they looked similar. I didn't realize they were the same actor. Okay.
Yeah, so he played Bill Weasley. Thank you for that. I do love me some Domhnall Gleeson. He is in a movie. What is the other? Let me see if I can pull this up real quick. You look Domhnall Gleeson. He's Irish, huh? He was in a great movie I just saw a few years back. I can't remember. Was it Rachel McAdams or who it was? Let me see if I can pull this up. About Time is what it was called. About Time back in 2013. It was a time traveling movie with him in the lead role. But I absolutely loved it. I'm pretty sure that's Rachel McAdams. Yeah, him and Rachel McAdams. If you guys get the chance to check it out, it's a great sort of like time traveling love story that I was a big fan of his.
Okay. Bacon and Sushi was wondering where you can watch Stargirl season 1. You can watch it on the DC Universe app, but you can also, I think it is still on the CW app, but I could be wrong about that. But it was for a while on the CW app.
He does. This is also Bacon. So she says possibly rumors, but do you think if Superman and Lois series introduced the new Supergirl from another Earth or dimension, so we have a new Superman when Supergirl series ends? I haven't heard any of that anywhere, even as a rumor. I don't know if that's just something that you're just making up off the top of your head or where you read that at, but I haven't read that. But what do you think if Superman and Lois series introduced a new Supergirl from another Earth or dimension, so we have a new Super when Supergirl series ends? I don't. I mean, maybe we get a new Supergirl introduced from another Earth or dimension, but I don't think, if anything, it would be like to take over as our Supergirl in this series. I think that role is still significantly belongs to Melissa Benoist, but I don't think there's a need to introduce a new Supergirl, honestly. Can I see them doing it? Yeah, but that's actually honestly nothing that I've actually read before. So I don't know if that's just you speculating or if that's an actual rumor that you read somewhere, but I have never heard of that. Have you, Stuart?
No. Although I'll say this, Shadow Nova kind of stole my answer. So much I think Supergirl from another dimension is Power Girl,
There's
which
Power
is the
Girl.
alternate Supergirl in the comics. Yeah. So
Yeah,
if
absolutely.
they do the alternate Supergirl, yeah, just have it be Power Girl.
Yeah, I would prefer, if you're going to do anything like that, a Power Girl would be great.
Oh yeah.
Let's see here. Gabriel, he says, do you guys think we'll get an archive footage cameo by Robert Downey Jr. and Shang-Chi, since the real Mandarin was probably in the background when he was captured? Ooh, you know what, Gabriel? I'm going to say yes. I'm going to say that there's going to be maybe some stock footage of Robert Downey Jr. as Tony Stark in there. So yeah, I'll say yeah. What about you, Stuart?
Very possible. They definitely need to address the Iron Man movies in some way, because the 10 rings were a thing in the very first Iron Man movie. So yeah, I'd be very shocked if they just kind of ignored Iron Man altogether.
Yeah, bring it on, man. I do love that idea, Gabriel, even as a flashback or a small cameo. So yeah, bring on Tony Stark and bring back Ben Kingsley, please. I want to say Trevor Noah. I don't think that's his name though. Trevor Lee, something Trevor. Damn, I can never remember his name.
I was gonna say Trevor Noah. That's the talk show guy for the Daily Show.
Yeah, that's what. Bacon Sushi says, "Hey, wasn't Oscar Isaac the dude who was on Star Wars? Yes, he played Poe Dameron, and he was Apocalypse. That's correct."
Yet we still have no Watch Dogs movie yet. What's with that, Ubisoft? Hey, I could definitely see it being a TV show on Netflix now that they have like all the Ubisoft like catalog.
Yeah, don't count it out, Shadow Nova. I know you're asking for it, but it'll be here. It could be here before you know it, Shadow Nova. You never know, man. It could be the next thing up on their docket that they had. Let's see here. Couple things. Gabriel says the director of the Assassin's Creed movie had only directed one other movie, an adaptation of Macbeth, which also starred Michael Fassbender. So maybe that's why Michael came on board then, because of the fact that he was used to, he had worked with this director before, maybe trusted him, sort of thing. I'm sad that unfortunately you weren't the biggest fan of it, but one other movie under their belt, maybe not the most experienced, but especially for a big film like that. But we'll see what they do. We'll see what they do. Freedom Barnes, what's up, Freedom? Appreciate you coming through. We have a fan of the Assassin's Creed movie here, so I'm really glad that you enjoyed it, Freedom. I'm gonna have to check it out for myself. You know, again, I haven't personally watched it. I'm just relaying what I've heard other people certainly say. I'll give it a shot. I'll give it a shot. I'll give it a shot. Why not?
Yeah, I feel like even bad movies are like worth watching for the first time because everyone has their own opinion. So like he thought the movie was okay, which is cool, and you might really like the movie, and that's also cool. Everyone's allowed to have their different opinions.
Most definitely.
It's just that they're all wrong except for mine.
That's what it comes down to. Real quick shout out. We have to bring this up, Stuart. Talk about this a little bit. Bacon and Sushi. Rest in paradise, Sean Connery, James Bond. I'm clicking myself in the ass for not even bringing this up at the top, to be honest with you, because we really should have kicked off this episode with a little bit of a tribute to Sean Connery, who is going to be missed, man. Outside of just being an amazing actor whose career unfortunately ended with League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, not the strongest movie. I believe that's one of the reasons why Sean Connery stopped acting, was just because of that atrocious film. But make no mistake, Sean Connery has left a legacy behind, passing away in his sleep at the age of 90. Talk about getting the opportunity to live a full life and just be a part of so many incredible franchises, and to make yourself recognizable with some of the most famous characters in the world, like the 007 James Bond. I mean, the movies go on and things that he's been in, from one of my favorites in The Rock to one of my earliest memories of him from The Hunt for Red October. I mean, the list goes on and on. I'm sure there's probably some great movies from Sean Connery that you recognize as well, Stuart.
Loved him in Indiana Jones.
Yes, Indy's father. Yeah, I think for me too, like his the fact that they gave him that role in Last Crusade. I think that was, like, for me during that time period growing up as a kid, The Last Crusade was the Indiana Jones movie that I watched all the time, because it was right around that time period for me. But yeah, I'm glad you brought that up. But yeah, sad day, man. 2020 takes another one from us. I mean, we were just about to get into 2021 here, and they still had some surprises for us, unfortunately. But Sean Connery, guys, passes at the age of 90. Certainly rest in peace, and well wishes certainly go out to his family and his friends who certainly knew him. But legend's definitely been taken from us. But guys, if you have any fond Sean Connery memories, feel free to go ahead and certainly share them.
Oh yeah, this was kind of a interesting behind the scenes fact. The Elseworlds crossover. Stephen Amell's real life wife played Mr. Freeze's wife in the episode.
That's right, she did. She played Miss Freeze, I believe it was. That was pretty cool. Gabriel, I've yet to see this, but he says the Suicide Squad from Gunn's comments has me having flashbacks to X-Force from Deadpool 2. Those are vibes that you get also, Stuart. I haven't seen Deadpool 2, honestly.
Oh wait, you haven't?
No, I want to, because I love Cable, and I love Josh Brolin. He was like one of my selling points, and unfortunately I just never got around to watching it.
I'd say personally watch the extended cut of the movie. Like the theatrical cut was good, but I think the extended cut definitely makes it a lot better. A lot of people still prefer the first one, and I do too. But I thought the second one was definitely a really solid follow up to it overall. But yeah, I wouldn't say that. Only because about the X-Force thing, only because man, I can't say why without spoiling anything. It was played out too much like a joke in Deadpool, and I don't think they're going to play it as that much of a joke in Suicide Squad. There might be, a couple of instances of a joke death, but I don't think it'll be like for the majority of the squad.
Okay, all right,
yeah. If you know anything about us, we know that we'll definitely disagree with this. I heard a lot of people are happy Marc Guggenheim left. They say he ruined many Arrowverse shows after Arrow ended, though he was one who gave us the Kingdom Come Superman. Yeah, no, I don't think. I mean, he's what started the Arrowverse. So what? How could he ruin it? He definitely, was the one who came up with the idea for Arrow of being like, this will be this. We're not Smallville. We're not doing any superpowers or anything. This is going to be our own kind of grounded show, and it's going to be like just vigilantes. And then I love how that eventually that was what grew into a superhero universe afterwards. He was one of those people that yeah.
I can't agree with that at all. Like, I just don't know what people are talking about. Like, I just don't.
Yeah.
That really goes over my radar. Like, I had no idea people were talking about him like that. That saying that he thought he might have ruined the shows. I mean, it's popular because of him. Marc Guggenheim and Greg Berlanti. They made this their baby, and I think all the attention to detail that they paid to it with all the crossover events and the huge connective tissues that they built, I think is unlike anything that they've ever done. I've never seen Marvel's never done this shit for TV series before, right? Like, I mean, they've done something rather unprecedented, and to be able to be genius enough to connect this TV universe to the overall DC world. I mean, come on, what else could you ask? What else could you ask for Marc Guggenheim to certainly do? So for me, it's going to be sad to see him go. I just don't know if anybody. I don't want to say I don't know if anybody. I'm sure some people do, but I think he just had a really great flair and for understanding this world, and had his thumb on the pulse of what makes great superhero television. I mean, I'm sure not everybody appreciated this stuff, but to ruin Arrowverse, that's a stretch for me, man. A stretch for me.
Same. And like I said, I'm sad he's leaving, but I'm glad it means that he's just going to be focusing that much more on Green Lantern. So I think in the long run, it's great. Also,
yeah, I agree.
Shout out to Anita who joined us.
Yeah, what's up, Anita? Good to see you. Oh, Gabriel, just a correction. Scratch that. He directed before that movie, but it was just the newest one he did. He misspoke.
Oh, okay.
No problem. Thank you for clarifying that, though. Making a sushi. Green Arrow and the Canaries are from 2040. They didn't warn us about 2020. Yeah,
that's actually really funny.
For real.
Yeah. I'll say this though. Yesterday, because like I mentioned, I was working before going to the Halloween party at my girlfriend's place, but it was the busiest day that I had working at the theater. And on top of that, it was also the day we were the most understaffed, because I think we expected it to be slow. So a lot of people who asked for Halloween off, the manager was kind of like, yeah, that's fine. That's fine. That's fine. We did not expect it to be the busiest day we've had so far.
Really?
Yeah.
I guess maybe that's a good sign. I wonder if that's a good sign for movie theaters. What were you guys playing?
I mean, nothing new, because it was just the same movies that you could have watched if you had like a watch party going on, but like Nightmare on Elm Street, Scream, and I think the new Halloween movie. So not like not like the original or the Rob Zombie version, but the one that came out last year.
Oh, okay. I see what you're saying. Okay, I got you.
Yeah. So sequel that ignores everything except for the first film.
Right. No, that I did enjoy that one. That was a good one. Yeah. If anything, I mean, I guess you just have a great lineup of Halloween movies for that time of the year, and I guess maybe people want to get back to the movie theaters. Maybe people are getting a little bit more comfortable. We'll see what happens when it comes to Christmas time. If people still manage to kind of go back out to the movie theaters, I really do hope that people get more and more comfortable going back out, because I really want to see these movie theaters start opening up again, or at least sustaining some income going forward. Shadow Nova does say there is a new Thundercats show on Cartoon Network, Thundercats Roar. I have yet to watch that one. The animation is just not really one that I'm super fond of, but I have no idea about what the storytelling is like. I feel like it may not take itself very seriously. For me, I definitely want like a when it comes to Thundercats, I definitely want, I don't want to say super serious tone, but I want it to take itself somewhat seriously. Tell me a legit story. This felt like when I saw the artwork, I was like, is it like Ren and Stimpy mixed with Thundercats? Like, what's
Mhm.
going on here? So I wasn't the biggest fan of the artwork, but I haven't given it a shot yet, so I don't know exactly what it's like. But yes, there is a new Thundercats show on Cartoon Network. So thank you for bringing that to our attention, Shadow Nova.
They Teen Titans Go to Thundercats.
Yeah, that's a great comparison to it for sure.
This or actually I guess technically maybe not a full correction, but he was saying I had no idea Brett Bassinger is the first Nickelodeon alumni to be in the Arrowverse. She was a lead role in Bella and the Bulldogs TV movie.
Mhm.
Technically, because I think the show aired on Nick at Night. I think technically Stephen Amell would have been the first Nickelodeon alumni if we count Nick at Night, because I think Degrassi aired on Nick at Night. So
Oh, did it?
technically, yeah, technically Stephen Amell started on Nickelodeon.
Oh, did he really?
If you count Nick at Night, then yes.
Oh, yeah, you definitely got to count Nick at Night,
Because
man.
he was on he had like a small like part in Degrassi, I think.
Oh, okay, okay, very cool, man. I hadn't known about. I learned something new today.
Yeah.
All right, ladies and gentlemen. I think other than that, that is certainly going to go ahead and do it for us here today. So that'll wrap up all of our live viewer questions. And remember, guys, anytime during the week, if you see a news article that you want us to certainly talk about, or a topic quote that pops up that you definitely want to have highlighted on the show, submit your live viewer question to us at any time at aplusopinions@gmail.com, and we'll definitely highlight it towards the end of each show. But other than that, Stuart, that is going to go ahead and wrap it up for us today, sir. Before we go, though, if anybody certainly wants to follow you on social media, where can they find you at, sir?
You guys can follow me at TurboStew01, and you guys can also check out my YouTube channel, Turbo Studios.
Awesome. And thank you very much, Stuart, for certainly joining me once again this week, man. Some great topics, great discussion. And of course, it's always great having each and every one of you guys giving us your thoughts for us to discuss further as well. And of course, we'll definitely be back next weekend. So certainly look out for us. We'll be back next Sunday at 11 a.m. Central Time. So certainly mark your calendars then. And of course, throughout the week, guys, we have the Mandalorian reviews that we're dropping for you guys on Fridays now. We're also doing reviews for Swamp Thing on our YouTube page. So if you haven't subscribed, please do yourselves a favor, hit that subscribe button along with that bell notification. So when we do drop brand new videos, you will certainly be notified. And of course, if you love our content, if you love our videos that we dish out, give us that like, guys. Hit that big thumbs up so YouTube can certainly recognize our work and recommend it to other people. But if you want to go ahead and follow us on social media, you can certainly do so right here at A Plus Opinions. Our main hub is going to be on our Facebook page. Check us out there. And we're also on Twitter, Instagram, and Twitch for you gamers as well. So until next time, guys, do us a big favor. Take care of yourselves, take care of each other, and keep it A+. We'll talk to you later. Bye.